And you are watching another Blewett's Blitz film review. He has that ability to, trust me, he definitely does. Just his ability to catch balls outside of his frame, his leaping ability, his ability to hang in the air, his yak ability, it's all there. Lowers his helmet, low man wins, bang, rocks the guy.
Hall running free, Brees Hall inside the 10, he's gonna score!
The corners all do their job. You know, if you look at the picture right here, lock.
3rd and 1. Stevens always drilled. What a great defensive play.
I don't try to Monday morning quarterback any of the reviews I do, and I'll try to be honest with a lot of the things I put up.
And you are watching/listening to another edition of Blewett Splits Live with my friend Kyle, who I think just woke up from a nap. Kyle, what's up, my friend?
You are right about that, but even if I didn't, you're going to be seeing much more of me with no hair gel these next couple of weeks and months because school year is about to end for me. So, no need to do all that on a daily basis. But Joe, I'm doing pretty good. I can see that you're doing well. You're always in a good mood when you feel like you're being productive. And when I say productive, I don't just mean from like the regular work, but pumping out your Jets content, which you've certainly been pumping out a lot of that lately. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. And we'll talk about plenty of that in the future. Probably some of it will come up today, but in terms of the reviews, if you want to go and watch the reviews, I've released so far McDonald, Rodgers part 1 of 4, Wilson part 1 of 2, Sauce part 1 of 2, Tippmann, Lazard, Warren, Clark, Hardman, Barnes, Izzy, Amos. And I already have Rodgers part 2, Q, Kuntz, Converse, Jefferson, Rodgers part 3, and Brees all ready to go. So I have to watch 2 more players, Kyle. Only Billy Turner and Yannick Juice, the only guys I got to watch film on. And I have to do 10 more reviews. So I think I've put out like 8, or I've recorded 18 in, I think, 3 weeks. So I've been churning out reviews. Sorry for them being late, but I appreciate the people who are watching them. But other than that, Kyle, I know you were looking forward to your summer because you don't have to teach. To me, summer could end tomorrow, and I would be happy as a pig in shit because I hate the summer. I hate everything about it. It's only baseball. It's hot. There's traffic. It's just the worst. So fast forward me to fall, especially when you only and the thing about it too, about the summer is like
I hate the weather. For the record, I hate the weather of the summer. We are eye to eye on that.
It's the worst. It's 85. It's sticky. It's terrible. There's traffic. Our beaches suck. Like, it's not like you go to other beaches and maybe I'm being a little bit bougie, but nice white sand, nice clear water. It's like you see green water with like suds in it and like condoms and heroin needles on the beach. It's like, oh, this is great. I love the beach here, But other than that, like sports, like it's a dead time of football. All the other sports are done. I'm only watching Mets baseball and they freaking suck this year. So let's fast forward to the football season. I'm really, really excited for week 1. I'm excited for a lot about this football season. We haven't been able to be excited for how long, Kyle? Legitimately since 2010.
I mean,
right?
We were definitely excited in 2011. I mean, listen, there's a certain point you're thinking like, wow, well, listen, look at Rex Ryan, his first 2 years. I mean, like I certainly wasn't no believer in Mark Sanchez by 2011. I had some hope, but hey, listen, like Rex comes in his first 2 seasons and really does well. And, you and I, you were in high school at the time, if I'm not mistaken. What year did you graduate? Was it 2011 or 10?
11.
Okay. So you're still in high school at the time. And neither you and I know nearly as much as we know about the game now. We didn't realize the holes in the Jets roster at the time. Like, I think everyone kind of realized like, okay, well, the Jets definitely lost a couple pieces there. They had like a lot of guys on 1-year contracts for the 2010 season, but we were still pretty happy for 2011. And it was even looking pretty decent at one point. They were 8-5 at one point, and then, really shit the bed those last 3 games. But since then, I mean, we would get excited here and there, like, but the level of excitement this year compared to previous years is way different. I mean, like, obviously you're excited 2 years ago, new coach, new quarterback, right? Like a bunch of new talent on the team, but you knew it was still rebuilding. This is not rebuilding this year. You're trying to win it all this year, and you do at least have a realistic shot. So yeah, definitely excited, man. First time in a long time.
Yeah, and even in like 2011, again, we didn't know a lot, but I remember looking at the contracts and like reading articles about how backloaded all those contracts were, and the Jets were pretty much going to be in like a shitty situation the next couple of years. And you had Sanchez on top of that. I was like, like okay, like excited, but not this year excited. And even in 2016, we knew shit was going to hit the fan. Like we knew that was coming, and it came, and it sucked. What did we go in 2016? It was like, did we have like 6 or 7 wins? I forget exactly, but that was a rough year. I specifically remember flying out to Vegas and then going to Arizona to watch watch the Jets get their dicks kicked in, and it was like 20. It had to be like 21.
Week 3, Fitzpatrick throws 6 picks against the Chiefs, and like 3 of those picks came in the red zone. Man, that was awful. My parents were at that game.
I think it was like 21-3 or 20-3 later on in the game, and at that point, I like took my Jets jersey off. I'm all pissed off, and sitting in like a white undershirt in the stands, and I got a fucking hot dog thrown at me. I was like, what is this bullshit? I'm like, I'm not cheering. I have a Jets jersey off, and I'm getting shit thrown at me. We're losing 20-3. I'm like, this is fucking awful, man. That was the worst that season. It was one of the really, really bad ones, but really excited about this year. Obviously, Bills opening up, going to Cowboys week 2, Pats week 3. It's gonna be a fun season. Eagle Fang commented before we came on. Joe, did you see the comments Mike T, Jets old GM, thank you, made about the Jets offseason team from A+ to F because they canceled some offseason program? Kyle, it seems like you already know about this.
Well, I remember Eagle tagging me on Twitter, both of us actually, and I wanted to watch the clip just from like, okay, but then again, like I was just like, Tannenbaum, I really have no respect for the guy, just in terms of like a pure evaluator. I mean, I wonder, like, clearly he's very good at schmoozing people. It kind of like how Adam Gase was like a good, I guess, talker in an interview setting, and he was able to blow Christopher Johnson away in terms of like, his knowledge of the game or whatever. I think Tannenbaum might have a little bit of that when he's like talking to some guy who doesn't really know football, like some owner or whatever. It makes it seem like he knows a lot, but I mean, like the guy, he's just his analysis is so lazy with so many things. I remember like when he kind of first kind of get it into the evaluation game and like the Twitter game, and like he's like putting his opinions out there and stuff, and his he said something about his pro comparison to Zach Wilson was like Baker Mayfield or something like that, like undersized quarterback. Like how do they really play like each other or whatever? It's just like such a really lazy comparison or whatever. So when I saw it was him talking, and I obviously saw the comment that Eagle said, like, A+ to F, I was like, okay, this is stupid. Like, how do you go from an A+ to an F? So I didn't even watch it.
Because they canceled 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Like 3 days. And the reason being is, okay, like there's that fine area between, okay, yeah, we want the extra practice time, but we're also coming a week early and we have an extra preseason game. So you're trying to manage injuries. Like, I don't really care so much about it either way. If they did it, great, they get more time. If not, okay, whatever. But to bring some of these offseason from an A+ to an F, that should tell you everything you need to know about Mike Tannenbaum and how you should value or not value his opinion. To me, I couldn't give 2 fucks less about what the guy says. He's just clearly showed he's very incompetent, and he clearly showed with the Jets he's pretty incompetent. It's really confusing. Like it's almost pretty crazy, Kyle. Like you think about some of the people who have jobs in the NFL, and then they come into the media and they express their opinions. Like, how did he get a job as a GM? And like you'll see me talk about certain things with like corners and some of their press techniques and stuff, and how certain corner coaches like to teach guys. And I'm like, how do some of these? I don't get how some of them have jobs. I'm not trying to say like, any of us could do it, but when you have guys like Mike Tannenbaum out there and they speak, and then you're like, okay, he was a GM of a multi-million-dollar organization. Like, what's
$1 billion organization, right? Like, so if you were to buy the Jets, it would be like what, 5-6 billion, something like that.
Okay, so $1 billion organization. You have Mike Tannenbaum who clearly showed he's incompetent. Like, how do people get to that spot? I don't understand how that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it must be like, I think some people, old school people, are just looking too much at the resume stuff. Like, oh, well, he went to this school and graduated with an MBA, GPA with this, and he worked on this company and this company. It's like, okay, well, I guess he can manage a salary cap or whatever, but. Yeah, at the end of the day, like football, and we're not in lightning round yet, Joe. So if I could tell like a personal story in relation to something we were talking about, where you're talking about walking that fine line between, not wanting to play too much and injure the players, but at the same time not be rusty.
Kyle, I'll only allow it. I'm only going to allow it if it's not as anticlimactic as your reality TV story.
Well, I'm not saying that this is going to be like a good build up or have you on the edge of your seat or anything like that, but so. my senior year, we were pretty good. We were 7-3 at one point. We almost like missed the playoffs because we dropped a couple stupid games to teams we should have beat. But we kind of in the midpoint of the season, we were pretty strong. We got into the playoffs. We upset the number 1 seed, which was Irvington at the time. They were undefeated. They were 9-0. They were ranked like 11th in the state, and that's including like all the Catholic programs and stuff. So we beat them. We beat Scotch Plains in the second round of the playoffs, who's also having a good year. So then we made it to the state championship game at
One of
Giant
500.
Stadium. Yeah, 1 of 500. That's why I'm doing that. So, like on the one hand, it's pretty damn cool. Played in Giant Stadium. On the other hand, it's like, okay, whatever. Now, before that game, we had a Thanksgiving game against our rival, North Plainfield. Now, we had always traditionally gotten whooped by North Plainfield. Sometimes we would lose close games. Our coach wanted to play the game against North Plainfield before the state championship game. And the players were kind of like half and half with it. Some like kind of just wanted to focus on the state championship game, get the ring and all that. I actually wanted to play against North Plainfield because, oh, fuck them. I want to beat them or whatever. But we lost to North Plainfield, and then we got shut out at Giant Stadium in the championship game. And, you think back to your playing days and stuff, and you wonder like, well, if we just did take the extra week to focus and prepare for, the team in the state championship game, which was Newark Westside at the time, maybe we would have beat them or at least played a better game. Right. So like how many of the players did have extra injuries? How many of them, having an extra week to rest their body, get some film in on that team? Would we have played better? So yeah, the Jets are in a different situation this year that they haven't been in other years, where they do have an extra preseason game, and everyone hates when your players get injured in a preseason game. Remember how angry we were when Zach Wilson got hurt against the Eagles last year, right? Like
Avery Williamson versus the Falcons.
Avery Williamson versus the Falcons after he had a great first year with the Jets, and he was never the same after that. Never the same. Nope. It's just a really stupid comment by him. Like, hey, listen, in the NFL, the name of the game, like everyone's so fast. And I think there's so much to it. Like, I almost wonder, like, why did I never pull a hammy? Like when I was playing in my days, like, why did I never like injure my ankle or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, it's to me, I can't remember any player on my team ever having and I'm talking about all years I played in high school ball,
non-contact.
And part of it maybe it's because we played on grass fields mostly rather than turf, but I never remember anyone having a non-contact injury. And I think part of that is
me neither.
The harder you plant, like someone like Garrett Wilson scares me a little bit. The harder you plant and the faster you are, I feel like you're more likely to get those types of injuries. So like the name of the game in the NFL is staying healthy. So I have no problem at all with Saleh's decision to do that.
Yeah, it's like I guess obviously his body's capable of more, but we're only pushing our body to like 3 RPMs, so it's never gonna rip or anything like that. Where Garrett Wilson's pushing it to 8 RPMs or talking about 8,000.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. But yeah, we didn't have any no contact injuries either. Like even when I like tore my groin and stuff, it was contact. We had a guy who broke his leg. That was contact. He got just tackled in a weird way while rolling out. His leg like snapped in half. It's like, oh, fuck. Like right there, you hear it, But yeah, no, it's interesting. But for 3 days, like either way, I really don't care that much. That's up to them and their load management, all that. But to bring it from an A+ to an F is just a joke. It's a joke. Eagle Thing says fantasy football season coming soon, going for the three-peat. The thing about a three-peat is you have to win twice, though, because me and Eagle tied at the end because of the whole what happened at the end of that season?
It was like it was the DeMar Hamlin incident.
Yeah, Eagle, and I'm not trying to be like whatever, but you were gonna lose probably in that game, considering where we were in the stat predictions and whatever. I think I was like had multiple points up on you, but hey, it's fine, three-peat, whatever. Captain K Techno, our buddy from, I believe, Ireland. I always fuck it up, but we appreciate you nonetheless. Steven Engel, yo, Dix. He can't just say hello without throwing a curse word in there. So what's up, Dick? Brayden from New Zealand, I believe, which helps with the NDL. What's up? Let's see who else is in here. Jedi Rusty Spooner. The return of Jedi Rusty Spooner. I think we hit 70. 70. Has that ever been done? 70? Or no, the Eagles had a little bit over 70, right? Last year.
Was it that much? Wow.
I think it was a little bit over 70, so it's crazy. But with 45 last year, and their defense being stronger and wiser, It's not even. I don't think it's about our defense being stronger and wiser. I think it's the fact that
playing
teams
with
are
more
actually have to
leads.
throw. Yeah, we're going to be playing with a lot more leads. So if you had to predict, Kyle, which by the way, this show we're going to do our stat predictions for this year, which maybe we should have thrown that in there. What would you think around about number?
I think they're going to
our
exceed their
stats?
total from last year. I don't think they'll get that close to 70, but I think in the 50s is pretty realistic.
I was gonna say like 60. Let's call it an even 60. 15 more from last year.
If you think about it, all right. So if you in the old 16 game season thing, if you had 3 sacks per game, 16 times 3 is 48. So could the Jets average 3 sacks a game? And it's a 17 game season now. I think it's very realistic they can exceed 50 sacks.
Matthew Wright, what's up? Billy says, finally caught you guys live. Let's go. All right, let's get it. Go Jets, go Knicks. I'll chill with the Knicks stuff, but this is something too with the live stuff. I mentioned it. If you guys do prefer, like if you have to jump in and out, I know Stephen Angle does it a lot in and out. Blewett Splits on the podcast app. You can now, or podcast, Spotify, whatever, you could download the podcast now and listen. So we're getting some listeners over there as well. If you could throw a 5-star rating and review, that'd also be appreciated because I haven't done podcasts on there for years, Kyle. So I don't have a review from like the last 2 years. So you see a bunch of reviews the last 2, 3, 4 years and then a gap for 2 years. So people are probably like, what the hell? So throw some reviews. I appreciate it. Jealous Beanbag says, hey, Joe, what do you think about the Jasper Bratt Devil's Blitz? Just really quickly, I like the contract extension. I like him as a player. He needs to step the fuck up in the playoffs, though, because he disappeared. But other than that, I like it. Devils fan here. Let's see. Got to get Meyer signed. Yep, that's true. What's up to Lloyd? What's up, Yoshi? I remember how excited that we were that year, Kyle. Like the things that we used to get excited over Jets fans or as Jets fans, which I got, I understand it. But that whole 2019 year, CJ and Avery, Le'Veon Bell coming in, all these skill guys. One of the better linebacker duos in the league. And you have Avery who got injured by his own player, right? Because the player was like diving to get a pass deflection and he fucking hit him right in the knee. Mm-hmm. His knee exploded. So Kyle, you weren't trying hard enough. I don't know if that means necessarily. Yes,
I think he's commenting about losing the state championship game.
Didn't try hard enough. Didn't the Eagles have like 10 sacks in one game last year? I don't know. Did they? I know. What was it? Was it that home opener? Bengals, was that 2016 or 17 where we had like
16.
7 or 8 sacks?
It was 2016. Okay, so AJ Green, I think, had a great game against us.
He just like roasted us on like smoke routes. Like it wasn't anything like crazy. It was just he was getting 5-6 yards easy every time because we were playing so far off of him. Yeah, that was a bad one. That's was that the year like Antonio Allen was starting at corner or
that was definitely Revis's second year. In his second or in his last stint with the Jets.
I forgot he even played a second year, to be completely honest. I completely forgot he played.
I mean, it was so bad that I don't even, did they cut him at a certain point? I mean, he didn't.
I completely forget.
I could tell, I could say with certainty, I'm almost positive he did not finish out the season with the Jets because it was so bad.
So Kyle, we already kind of hit on Dalvin Cook. Is there anything else you want to hit on with Dalvin Cook? I know we hit on it 2 weeks ago, but it seems like rumors are drumming up that he's going to be coming to the Jets and people, obviously scoping out the social media and all that stuff. And he liked this from the Jets. He liked that from the Jets. He liked this from Good Morning Football. But then you also go to the rest of the likes and he liked another 10 to 15 things about the Bills, another 10 things about the Dolphins. So he, at this moment, is enjoying being a free agent. He's liking a lot of shit because, hey, there's no point of him saying, I only want to play for the Dolphins. I have no interest in the Jets. Because the price is going to go up. So if he likes the Jet stuff, if he comments on the Jet stuff, and the Dolphins are thinking, oh, well, maybe he wants to go to the Jets, and then he obviously pivots. But he's trying to get more money right now. Like it has nothing to do with the Jets, in my opinion, but there's been some drumming up of Dalvin Cook interest. And then there's also the rumor out there that he's interested in playing with DeAndre Hopkins, which if it happens, it happens. But I don't think those guys are going to be like, exclusive to each other. Wherever the other one goes, they're going to go. I don't think it's like that. But what are your feelings? And then I don't know if you saw the whole thing about Hopkins, and he took like a Snapchat or whatever, or Instagram, and his location was in New York, like he was driving through New York. So any updated thoughts on the adding of potential Hopkins or Cook?
Regarding the whole Snapchatting in New York, I mean, I mean, it's
I
still
think it's Instagram.
it's vacation time for lots of players and stuff, and especially one who's a total free agent. I mean, he could be anywhere, and obviously New York City is one of the biggest tourist destinations in the country, if not the world. So that is basically meaningless to me. We've already Hopkins. I don't care. I mean, like, we did talk about this 2 weeks ago. Some of the stuff that may be a little concerning, like, oh well, does he really like practicing? Like, okay, he's obviously great talent, great player on the back end of his career, but I brought up the whole how his hotel room at the combine was trashed. Does it call into questions of his potential character? Like, is he the best dude in the world? I mean, like, listen, I don't really care so much about all that stuff. He's been in the league for a long time, and he hasn't really had any incidents in the league. He still really excites me as a player, especially after watching your Lazard and Hardman reviews. Jets fans, sorry to say it, watch Blewett's review on Lazard, and you're gonna be like, oh, like, his hands are awful, dude. Like, I have no problem saying
They're so bad.
It's awful. That's not even hyperbole to use that word.
Yeah.
And Hardman, I mean, there's some potential.
He caught a lot of strays. He got a lot of strays in the AR review too. I was like, dude, he's another drop. Like, his hands are god awful.
And I don't even think you were trying to be mean too. Like, you were actually, I think, like, trying to be like relatively nice to the guy and whatever. But I think it's very fair to say that the only reason, like, he really kind of got like the contract he got, and which wasn't even that good compare his contract to some of these other numbers that these other receivers are getting. Like, compare his contract to Christian Kirk's contract from the previous year. It's like night and day. But he's here because he's boys with Rodgers, period. And he's not even that good of a blocker too. Like, I thought that when I watched his film myself, and you further cemented that with me. Like, there's really not that many. I mean, there's like a couple, like, his effort could be pretty good at sometimes, but Corey Davis is definitely a better blocker than him for sure.
And he has 10 times better hands. I know people hate Corey Davis's hands, but just trust me, you're going to be frustrated with Lazard's hands tenfold. His hands are awful. But
yeah, I mean, this is a guy, like, what's the most receptions he ever had in a year? It was definitely last year or whatever. So, like, he compare like the amount of balls he catches to the amount of drops he's going to have, and the ratio is going to be pretty damn high. So that is frustrating, especially when he's not like a guy he's not going to do much to create after the catch. So, like, it's he's to call Lazard like a solid number 2. No, you can't call him a solid number 2. And Hardman is and Hardman is certainly, maybe Hardman could be like a solid number 3. I mean, like, he's been in the league also for 4 years. So, like, I know it took Devontae Adams. Like, he's like the one, like, really outlier example of a guy who really kind of took long before he, like, really became really good. I don't see that happening with Hardman. So who's that really good number 2 for the Jets? Right. Like, right now, Corey Davis is still the second best receiver overall, so adding Hopkins still does very much excite me potentially. Like, when I saw the whole Schefter went on Pat McAfee show today, and he kind of mentioned both those names, and he was a little bit more on the the Dalvin Cook thing makes sense to me, even though he kind of said, like, it's more fantasy football, but they both could play with the Jets, is kind of what he said. I actually, like, searched DeAndre Hopkins names in Twitter. I didn't really care so much for Cook because the running back room is, there's a decent amount of depth in there. I kind of like what they have already. And I don't know how much Cook is really going to give you at this point, where I feel like someone like Hopkins has more left in the tank. So anyway.
Yeah, the Jets receiver core, like, they have a really good 3. They have another really good 3 in both Davis and Lazard. Obviously, both of them battled some injuries. Corey Davis more so than Lazard. But they're lacking that true number 2 or even like 1B. They don't have that. So I think they have good depth, but I don't like the starters either. And then you're assuming Corey Davis is going to miss a game or two. And if Hardman's your 3 and Lazard's your 2, it's not the best core. Like, and you talk about the Hardman review a little bit. He's very, very raw as a receiver. Like, he's good with the ball in his hands, but in terms of like a guy who's going to be some all-pro kick returner or punt returner, I showed a play of him fair catching a ball at the 3-yard line. Not ideal. His route running is extremely raw. His hands are pretty bad. Doesn't attack the ball in the air. Like, Hardman, there's a reason he was used sparingly.
Some clapping of the ball too.
In KC, yeah. And I'm not trying to, like, listen, it's just, you're going to get straight up honesty. So, yeah, I didn't like Lazard very much. I didn't like Hardman as much as someone. Like, I'm not saying I don't like him. In his role, as if you're viewing him as a souped-up Braxton Berrios, there you go. You got it right. But for the people who are out there on Twitter saying, oh, he's expanded role, he's going to be the number 2 Jet in receiving yards, I would pump the brakes hard on that one. Now, with that, and talking about the negative reviews into some of the positive reviews, and I actually no, let's just get into this first. And I agree with you on Hopkins, like a big move. Hopkins, I would love to trade for Evans. Again, I don't know what they're doing with Evans on that team. He's not going to make a difference from 3 wins to 4 wins. Kevin Byard, I don't think that's what's going to happen. But yeah, Hopkins or Evans would be like the moves that really move the needle for me. Cook, so I got 2 questions here. We'll start with the first one, obviously, because we're not starting with the second one. That would make sense, right? So with the first question, Kyle, would you and it obviously depends a little bit on price. But let's say the price is similar, and we obviously have to go back and watch the film of both of these guys. But where do you feel on Cook versus Kareem Hunt, who nobody's talked about, is still, from what I've watched, a very efficient runner? Like, if you're telling me in a vacuum right now, hey, Hunt versus Cook, I'm probably taking Hunt over Cook. But off the field stuff, that was years ago. How much does that play into effect? How good was Hunt really last year? I want to go back and watch. But based on the numbers,
I think Kareem's probably been a little healthier in recent years than Cook as well, right?
To my knowledge, yeah. But I can't, obviously, don't take that for gospel.
I've always liked Hunt, as in terms of pure skill set on the field. I've always liked him. Imagine if he stuck with KC, man. He had some really crazy numbers in KC. Even last year, he had a good game against us. I was shocked to look at his final numbers at the end of the year and see what they were. I thought he would have had way more, but obviously Chubb is the stud over there. And they didn't really have great quarterback play for the vast majority of the season. So, that obviously helps, open up the running game when you have a good passing attack. But I like the question you just posed to me, and I tend to agree with you. Hunt excites me a little bit more just in terms of an on the field standpoint than Dalvin Cook. Yeah. Not to say that Hunt's highs has been as high as someone like Cook, but I feel like
less miles on the tire.
Yeah, and just less injuries too, which to get a running back who's been decently injury ridden,
fumble problems, pass protection problems, numbers look really bad. I'm not all for Cook. I'd rather just give me Kareem Hunt. But and let's do something else. Sorry if I interrupted you, but
no, you're good.
With Hopkins is obviously you heard some rumors that he wants similar to the Odell Beckham contract without incentives. Like right now, what are you willing to pay Hopkins to come to the Jets?
I have no problem giving him like a excess of like $10 million annually.
I was gonna say 15. Yeah. Like realistically, if you look at receivers' contracts, I know 15 sounds high, like in comparison to what he's requesting. And I'm not, obviously this is for like more future years with Christian Kirk, but Christian Kirk is like $19-20 million a year. Is he a better player right now than Hopkins?
No.
I don't think so. Excuse me. But so to me, $15 million is not crazy for a DeAndre Hopkins. Like if you can cut Corey Davis, save $10.5 million, and you're only paying $5 million extra, which could be the price of Ashton Davis and Bryce Hall and Denzel Mims getting cut as well. Like I would absolutely love to do that. And I think that really moves the needle for the Jets, where I think they're, and again, we can debate, rosters versus each other, but I feel like it's, you have the Chiefs, you have the Eagles, you have the Bengals, all in like that upper tier, with the Jets a slight step below those teams. You bring in Hopkins, you're up there. Like you are maybe the Super Bowl favorite minus the Chiefs in the AFC. So I really want,
especially when you consider the Bills are having some issues right now.
They're having issues, and not only does like Hopkins, you don't want him to go to the Pats, obviously. You don't want him to go to the Bills. So if you have to chalk up a couple of extra $1 million just so he doesn't go to those teams, like that's something that's in consideration as well. But in terms of,
by the way, I do wonder. So Diggs, obviously Diggs is a tremendous player. Stephon Diggs, that is, with the Buffalo Bills. I do wonder if the Bills were to bring in someone like Hopkins, if Diggs would even like that, because he might be one of these players. And obviously we know receivers are divas, and he's kind of a pretty big diva. I mean, like he had pretty good quarterback play in Kirk Cousins, yet he still wanted out of Minnesota. Does that, you bring in a legitimate, at one point in his career, superstar in Hopkins, who's definitely going to a certain extent, take away some of your targets. Does that make Stephon Diggs unhappy, who missed part of, OTAs or whatever it was because he was unhappy? So I don't know. I'm thinking out loud.
I saw a rumor out there, and again, don't take this verbatim, but it said that Diggs took some type of pay cut and he's not happy that they haven't brought in more weapons or something like that. But I don't know if that's true.
Okay.
Obviously,
Yeah.
So
I didn't know he took a pay cut, and I don't see why he would either. He's like easily a top 10 receiver in the league.
Yeah, if not top 5. But with that being said, we kind of went from the more negative reviews, Kyle and McCall Hardman and Alan Lazard, to probably the most positive review of the offseason that I've had so far. Well, you watched Q already, which that's going to be a fun one when he gets eventually extended. But Clark was my favorite move of the offseason based on the value. I don't know if you watched the review before the injury.
Before the injury. Right before.
How much does that suck?
It sucks a lot. I mean, he's a guy who's like, he's just solid. Like that's
so
probably
consistent.
The one word that you used to define him. And I want solid players on my football team, right? And the Ravens are kind of known for this. Like, you build a team with a couple legit superstars, and then you have a bunch of other solid guys who just, to use Bill Belichick's quote, do their job, and you win a hell of a lot of games. And I could see why he's won a lot of the games with the Ravens. So that sucks because he was here to bring consistency. And I've watched about half of your Amos review so far, and I can tell you,
I hate that's the pronunciation. I hate Amos versus it's Amos. It's not Amos. It's Amos. I hate it, but it is what it is.
I could tell already, just being about halfway through that based on last year's tape, Clark is better in the roles that they were probably going to play versus Amos. Hence why the Jets went and got Clark for a cheaper salary. And we're willing to give up a draft pick to do it. So it does suck regardless, but thankfully they did have someone like Amos who was still available, but the free safety is still a concern. But yeah, anyway, it sucks, but I saw someone say on Twitter that we haven't heard 100% confirmation that he is indeed out for the year, and he supposedly was going to get a second opinion, and somebody was saying like, well, maybe the fact that we haven't heard that confirmation yet means that the second opinion was actually better than what was initially expected.
You hope so, because I love him. I love him as a player. He's just so consistent, tackling and in the box and his angles and pretty much everything. I really, really love the player.
Yeah, definitely when he's like really high back there, is like a single high safety or whatever. Like there's some legit concerns with him getting to the right spot. But if the closer you keep him to the line of scrimmage, he's very solid.
Yeah, and now with Amos, the review you watched and the question I posed just on Twitter and in general, because what happened was I was going to watch him, and you don't want to watch too far back because he's a different player 3 years ago. But I watched like half of 2020 just to see what he was doing in a really highly graded year. I think it was like an 87 from PFF, which is like extraordinarily high for them. Versus 2022. You'll watch the rest of the review. I don't think he was much different of a player in 2020 than 2022. And the question I posed, which we're kind of giving away now, I think he was the beneficiary of circumstance in 2020, where he might have been on a good defense. They got some good pass rush, but Kyle, through the half of that review in a really highly graded, so you're about all the way through 2020 now. If you're about halfway through the review, was he some stud in 2020?
No, that word never came to mind. Yeah, those PFF grades are so subjective, and well, not subjective, but there's a little bit of that for sure. But I think it's so much, and it's the one thing that they've admitted since day one, that their grades are so based they can't adjust for scheme and talent on rosters and all things. And think about it. 2 years ago, the Packers were 13-3 heading into the playoffs. Rodgers had another MVP season. He tossed 37 touchdowns and, whatever, a really efficient offense. So they're playing with a lot more leads. So as a safety, you have more of an ability to break on balls and things like that. The offense has become a lot more predictable. So that's probably a big reason why his grades were better. He's just going against teams that are in much more compromised situations. So hence it's more favorable to him. But there were some times when I'm trying to think what was the concept or whatever, but he's responsible for the flat. And he just really late getting over to the flat, and then running back, or not the running back, but the receiver is easily able to walk in for a touchdown. You watch him in his back pedal; he's always backpedaling really high in his back pedal. There was it James Robinson, I believe. There was a play where they were playing the Jaguars, and Robinson kind of cuts in the open field, and he's just diving at the guy as an ankle tackler. And Robinson ends up running for a touchdown. So it's like, I mean, like, to say that he's a stud, I didn't see that at all. But I mean, like, there's something there with the player. But yeah, I didn't like him as much as Clark, for sure.
Yeah. So what is it? I'm not gonna try to find the plays. I'm not gonna try to put up negative plays. I'll try to put up positive ones. But in terms of Amos, like, what halfway through the review, do you think he's going to be in that Clark, linebacker, strong safety role? Do you think they're going to play him in deep coverage? Like, does he supplant Tony Adams now, or was he like a 1-for-1 replacement for?
I think it's a one replacement. We hear no rumblings about Amos other than like speculation. Oh, he's a guy who's out there, and the Jets kind of need some safety help. And literally, it's like right after the Clark thing, and it seemed like Clark's going to be out for the year. And what do you know? The Jets sign him, and they give him a pretty decent contract too. So to me, it's an exact replacement scenario, I think, is what they want to do.
Yeah. And in deep coverage, he's very inconsistent. Like, you'll have one rep where he's flat-footed and he gets his face crossed, and the next one where he gains like 45 yards of depth and gets beat in front of his face. So he is not good in deep coverage.
They ran. Oh man, it's really early in your review for Amos, and I'm trying to remember the concept. I kind of wish that I wrote some of these things down, but you sent me so much at once, and I was trying to speed through as much of it as possible. But they ran something where like the one player was either running like I want to say a corner or a post, and like he's so far back and he's backpedaling, but like he starts weaving over like the one player who's running like a dig, and then there's like somebody's running like a post on the side that he's more to, and like, but he's getting himself way out of position by like starting to break on the dig, which is much more shallow. And then he just leaves himself open for like a 45-yard post, which, if you just played it more conservatively, it never would have happened. So I do really, and again, I'm only halfway through your review and I didn't watch him on my own, but
the one where he's too deep. Is that what you're talking about, Kyle?
He's too deep, but he starts breaking on the wrong route too. It's like, for those that are kind of like novice, it's like, what's the players understand? So this is part of the reason why like film review and like studying your opponent's really important to like understand, like, okay, from this formation in this set, they like to run this concept with this player running this route and this player, and it's understanding route combinations. Like, oh, there's this, like a really good chance that Robbie Anderson is going to run a post from this set. It's definitely not. Oh, this is the James Robinson one I was talking about.
Yeah.
And this is bad right here. So like number one on the other play that I was talking about, he was too deep, but he also starts breaking on the wrong route when he didn't need to, and then he moves too far to the inside, and he gives way too much space on the post or the corner route, whatever it was. So I do really question his ability from deep coverage to read route combinations. This is not the one I was talking about. No,
not the one. I'll try to find it.
I'll tell you what. I will rewatch your review. It'll take me 2 seconds, and I'll clip it, and I'll have it ready in the. This might be it. No, it's not it.
That's just he's giving plenty of room underneath. Like, you can't start backpedaling this early into it and just give the corner route on the smash.
I'll clip it next time, because I can easily clip some of the plays you're talking about, and I'll have it ready to go next time.
Yeah. But yeah, so for the people who are thinking like that he's some, like, again, I'm not trying to shit on players, but like, I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. I went into 2020 thinking that I was going to be really impressed. I was not. So I think he was a beneficiary of circumstance in that year. I think he's an okay player. Like, I'd rather have him than LaMarcus Joyner. But in terms of deep coverage, he is very inconsistent. I'm more comfortable with him in the box. He's what, like 6'1", 215 or 220 or something like that. So he's bigger. I think he's a physicality to hold up in the box. I think he's a decent tackler in the box. He takes on blocks relatively well. So I'm much more comfortable with him in the box. If you're going to play him deep, okay, like, a cover 4 or quarters, and he's going to play man coverage versus a tight end, cool with that. I like him in press coverage. I don't like him in off. He doesn't leverage himself properly in off coverage all the time. But In general, I think he'd be okay in the box. But with him now, like, and I said this last stream, Kyle, I don't know how you feel about it, but like, I would love, and I'm not speaking out of turn here, I would love for the Jets to bring back Quan. Not only as Amos insurance, because let's say Amos sucks in the box, right? They say, fuck that, Quan, you go in. Perfect. Or let's say Amos is in the box. CJ Mosley goes down. Oh shit, Quan, go in. Or, ready? Now you have Amos in the box. Tony Adams really is sucking deep because they only saw him in 3 games last year. Amos, you go play free safety. Quan, you're in the box now. So it gives you like so much insurance to different scenarios coming through this year that not signing him for $2.5 million, I think it would be really, really stupid for the Jets. So I would love to, and yeah, you can have faith in Sherwood and all this stuff. You haven't seen it necessarily, especially in a year where you're trying to go for the Super Bowl. You want some more proven commodities. So with it being Clark minus Clark plus Amos, I think Quan, his addition just got that much more important.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a matter of time before he resigns with the Jets. We'll see.
Yeah, let's run through the chat a little bit before we get to our stats. How many carries will split the first 6 games, assuming Brees is in? How will carry? How do you think the carries are going to be split up? At least initially, Kyle.
I don't think you'll see Izzy with a ton of carries really early in the season. I think a lot of it is going to be determined like who's the hot hand. I mean, the Jets were really riding the hot hand later in the season. We thought it was going to be James Robinson for a little bit. He had some plays against the Bills at the MetLife game. But other than that, he was pretty garbage with the Jets. When Bam Knight, they certainly rode him a lot when he was on. Obviously, Brees, they thought it was going to be Michael Carter early in the season, but Brees quickly supplanted him in that role. So they're going to ride the hot hand, I think. I think they are definitely going to try to ease Brees Hall in, but at the end of the day, if he's ready to go, as far as like the medical opinion goes, and Schefter was just on the McAfee show today talking about how the Jets have a gauntlet schedule early in the season, which they certainly do. I mean, like Eagles, in the first 8 weeks, they have the Chiefs, the Bills. The schedule is no joke. Yeah, the schedule is definitely pretty tough. So, you can't really afford to like say, oh, well, we're going to save Brees, towards the late in the year. At the end of the day, he's a young pup. And if the doctors say, hey, listen, his knee is good, I still think that he will get the majority of carries on a weekly basis, regardless. Now, if they go and bring in someone like Cook, I think part of the reason you do bring in someone like Cook is like, okay, well, now we can, sit Brees back a little bit. But I don't really see Cook happening. I don't think the Jets want to bring in an older running back.
So let's just condense that to week 1 and extrapolate that over 6 games. They run the ball 20 times week 1. Who are getting those 20 carries?
If they run the ball 20 times week 1, I think Brees is getting 10, right?
I think same number in my head.
Yeah. So then Michael Carter probably gets 5, and maybe Izzy gets like 2, and Bam Knight gets 3. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I would think about the same. And listen, like I know a lot of people are excited about Izzy, and I'm excited about his explosive potential, but down by down basis, he is inconsistent. So he's have to learn his way as well. But yeah, I see it about that. Like Brees at 50%. And the other guy is splitting that 50%, probably. I don't know if Carter will beat out. Like, I think they might give Knight the nod over Carter, but it all depends on the offseason. Like, we don't know exactly what's going to go on in the offseason, obviously. Mims might beat out Lazard.
No.
Mims isn't going to make the team. He's just not. With all the offensive linemen that they have, with all the defensive linemen they have, with all the tight ends they have, I severely doubt the Jets carry 6 receivers. And Mims is not beating out Cobb for receiver 5. I'm thinking Cobb all day over Mims, which a review is going to come out on.
In the words of Vince McMahon, no chance in hell.
Yeah, no. Mims will be cut or traded. 2 of the UDFA free abs. So 7 receivers are going to make the team by Angle. I would put my entire paycheck that 2 UDFA receivers are not going to make the team. It's not happening.
I do wonder if the Jets really got any offers for Mims last year. Like, were they offered a 7th? Right, because they were talking about how like there was like trade talks or whatever, and it almost makes you wonder. Like, man, I wish we did trade him away for like this.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But I don't think he's gonna make the team. I would take Brownlee, like just seemingly what they're kind of saying. They have, what is it, Jerome Cap or whatever, that white receiver wearing 31. You have Brownlee, who was
that guy Charles.
Irvin Charles.
Yeah, he was not bad in the preseason last year.
Mm-hmm.
Even in like the couple training camp practices I went to, he stood out a little bit. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if someone like him, like, you know, I don't think he's going to make the team, but like someone like him, you know, could easily be better than Mims this training camp. I wouldn't be surprised.
I would easily bet. I would bet a lot of money on a UDFA receiver making the team over Mims. I don't think either do. Just because, again, we'll do our 53-man roster construction. You'll look at the team. You'll really say, okay, am I going to carry Tristan Colon, who's a solid backup offensive lineman, or am I going to carry Denzel Mims? You're going to carry the solid backup offensive lineman. So I don't think either of those.
Mims is just too much of a liability. Like, you can't rely on him to get where he needs to be in the field. Like, so much of the league is about, like, you know, timing and stuff. You can't rely on him to get where he needs to be. And then there's also the stupid penalties. Like, you know, how many false starts has he had in the past couple of years, right? Holding. It's no thanks.
Rogers will ask for Cobb before he asks for Mims, to be honest. I'll ask for Cobb before I'll ask for Mims. You'll see the Cobb review. He's lost some in terms of his juice. Cobb is still a solid backup receiver. Like, Cobb as your receiver 4 or 5, I'm taking it. Especially as 5. I like Cobb a lot more than Mims.
So, Joe, we're doing superlatives tonight, correct?
Yeah.
Cobb might have won one of the superlatives for me.
All right. Best hand?
Dude, honestly, I struggled with that one.
I know, me too. I thought about it before. You're right, but Mims is still a big body. We could be dead in the big body does not mean. Did you watch the Kuntz review at all yet? Or no,
not yet.
Oh my God, the amount of contested balls that he dropped. I said it in the review. He is the worst contested catcher I've ever seen.
There's a reason why that. I mean, like, again, he's just one of those, like, good track athlete, but football player, yeah. And dude, by the way, Kuntz might have won one of my superlatives too.
If it was just about size, Kellen Davis would be a good contested catcher in the red zone too, right? Like, it's Eric, you know, Eric Tomlinson was pretty big. Baby Gronk. Why wasn't he good in the red zone? Like, Mims is not. I'm sorry, I don't think he's making the team. Not a big fan of chains, but Dan McCall glistening. Did you see that chain or no?
I did. Yeah.
Apparently, it's like 100-something carats. Like, bro,
what a waste of money, man.
I'm about to say, like
you're not that rich. You're rich, but like, come on, man.
Yeah, and like, listen, he got $5 million for 1 year, and I think it's like really like 4 with incentives. Kind of.
How much did he make his first 4 years with the Chiefs? Like, he was a second-round pick. He didn't make that much money, man. And
I would advise people not spending their money like that, because that chain costs what? Like, I don't. You know, you're talking about like a carat ring is costing people $15,000 to $20,000 or $10,000 to $20,000. What's 100 carats costing? Like $1 million? Is that $1 million chain?
No,
you just made 5. Dude, I don't know. Like, how much is 100 carats?
Easily, but yeah.
Go Google how much is 100 carats.
Are you definitely sure that it's 100 carats?
I'm pretty sure I saw it was over 100 carats on Summer, but yeah, it's ridiculous. I always liked Hunt too. Hunt's a beast. I'm happy with whoever step up. We got a small window to really do this. Becton healthy, we Super Bowl bound. Becton being healthy is a massive part of that for sure. But who even has the cap space to sign DeAndre Hopkins for 15, he can be had for less. I'm not saying what we have to sign him for. I'm saying what you're willing to sign him for. I would be willing to go up to 15. Obviously, you can get him for 10. Awesome, right? Like, I prefer him at 2, but I don't think he's gonna sign for that. So, kind of just talking about.
Dude, like a perfect 100 carat diamond sold for 22 mil, but that's like one big ass diamond. So
I'm talking. I said a mil, at least a mil. It's at least a mil. It has to be. Especially customized, dude.
I don't know that
100 carats.
I don't know that it's 100 carats. Why?
I'm not. You're a married man, Kyle. I'm not speaking to what I paid for my 1.5 1.51 carats. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I could tell you a 1.5 for what it costs. If you times that by, whatever, 75 to get to 100,
it's crazy.
I'm
especially
paying,
for a team he's only on a 1-year contract with. Like, ugh.
I don't know. Well, he always had the like the jet earrings, like the jet earrings. So he's always just been infatuated with jets. I think the speed thing. So I don't think it really matters where he goes. It's not like, oh shit, I'm on the Titans. I need the Titans logo. I don't think that's gonna happen, but you never know.
LT came here and LT got a Jets tattoo.
On his calf. On his calf, yeah. I still love LT though. He's probably my favorite running back of all time.
He was so good, man. And he had some good moments with the Jets, man. I remember him tearing up Buffalo. Like, what was it, week 3 or 4 or whatever? Ooh.
Yeah. Praying for MCL sprain. Yeah, for Clark, I would be ecstatic if they can get Clark back like mid-season or even for the playoff run. I really like Clark, which I think most people think I'm a douche. I don't like anybody. I love Clark. So for his value, for $4 million in 7th round pick, love him. If he's making $15 million, we'd be having a different conversation. But we're going to talk our next show, Kyle, that you do in 2 weeks will be our top 25, and I'll reveal where I was going to put him on our top 25, but pretty damn high. He was pretty damn high on my list, and now he's off my list, which is unfortunate. I keep thinking y'all are saying anus. I think Hawk probably took some edibles or something. But NY Sports Wicker Media, what is up? My wife just said the same thing. I'm not sure exactly. I'm a little bit behind in the chat. So, anus, Amos. Amos sounds like a good depth and bad starter by the way you're talking about him. Yeah, and that's kind of what the Ravens were bringing him in to do, right? Like, obviously they have Hamilton starting, and they have who's the other starter? I forget exactly who it is.
Boy from the Saints.
Marcus Williams.
Yeah,
Marcus Williams. So they were bringing him in to be depth, and the Jets obviously they got news of the Clark injury. They pivoted immediately to Amos, not Anus, and they offered him a starting gig. So let's see. Still need the vet body at safety. Nothing has changed in my eyes. Yeah, I would really like John Johnson at this point. I really like Quan. Add those two guys for a total of $5 million. I think it really rounded out the defense. I would love that. Rob B's in here. We have, I think Snowball already said, hey, Jordan did lead the team in picks last year. Yeah, it's just like
some of them were just like, okay, yeah, like balls tipped up and like, oh, let me scoop it up there.
Or thrown directly to him. Like it wasn't,
like Kenny Pickett had that was Kenny Pickett's first game action. He wasn't even the scheduled starter that week, so didn't even get a lot of reps in practice. And he tossed some really bad picks in that game. And I think if I'm not mistaken, Joyner at least had one in that game, maybe 2. So
Steelers game, he definitely at least had one. What exactly is everyone's issues? MC and Bam, they were victims of poor QB play and O-line injuries last year. I think that's the green goggles way to look at it. Michael Carter also had a bad quarterback play and bad offensive line in his rookie year, and he was 10 times more impressive than he was last year. I don't care about quarterback play. I don't care about O-line injuries. Michael Carter did not look like the same player last year, which leads me to believe he was battling some type of injury because he did not look like remotely the same guy. So I'm not blaming I'm not blaming the offensive line for him because he just looked different. Bam, okay. I'll take that. Now, obviously, I don't want to go back and watch how much was really him versus the offensive line. But the thing to realize is for 2-3 weeks there, yeah, he was averaging like 5-6 yards per carry, which looked great. Then the following 2 or 3 weeks, he averaged like 1.6 yards per carry. So that's quite the drop-off to blame on the offensive line. It's just a small sample size with him. And Michael Carter fell off a cliff last year. So I think it's the easy thing to do is to blame those other spots for those. But Michael Carter did not look like the same player. So no room for sappy feel-good underdog stories about a practice squad guy who gets to make the 53. I want to be cutting guys that will start elsewhere. Yeah, and we will. There'll be plenty of guys. Whoever we cut on the offensive line is going to get picked up. Whoever we cut on the defensive line is going to get picked up. There might be a running back we cut, So let's see. MC has an attitude that I don't trust, complaining and scrubbing his Twitter just because the Jets traded more. I want to like him, but he's flammable. Yeah, I'm not going to say that. About
how natural, like if your team trades your BFF on the team, that could very well upset you.
I'm more with Wicker here than I am with you, just because I get it's upsetting.
I don't know what else he did though. Like apparently he blocked a lot of Jets fans or whatever.
Blocked a lot of Jets fans. He scrubbed his Twitter bio. He put out some like cryptic type of tweets. It's like, kind of realize where you are in your career. Like you just had a really down year. Elijah Moore clearly had problems with the Jets. They traded him. And like, I know I'm getting a little bit into like the shut up and play territory, but it's not the most ideal thing for him to do, be blocking, bunch of Jets fans and all that stuff. So it rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not going to say I'm concerned about his
point being, you're absolutely 100% correct when you said like know where you are in your career. He has not earned the right to act like that. Yeah. It'd be one thing if he was like legitimately like the best running back in the league, right? Like we were just mentioning LaDainian Tomlinson. Like if he was LaDainian Tomlinson type good at one point, like you'd be like, okay, well, like, hey, shit, let's not piss off LT, man. Like, but he's nowhere close to that, unfortunately. So, yeah, no, I mean, like it's definitely not a good look for him. But I can understand why you're upset. But I mean, listen, at some point also realize how much of it was on your boy. Like, as a professional athlete yourself, you watch the film every week. You can't see that your boy is taking plays off week in, week out,
Yeah.
because he was.
Yeah.
And like, at a
For
certain
sure.
point, if you want to win as a football team, and winning obviously helps you make more money too with your second contract, you got to be pretty pissed at your boy. Like, hey, man, what the fuck are you taking this playoff for?
Or even after the Packers game, like if it was me and you on the team, and I think we're probably closer than MC. I don't want to speak for them, but MC and Moore, like they've known each other for 2 minutes. I'd be like, hey, Kyle, you should probably shut the fuck up, buddy. Like I would text him, like, yo, listen, like chill out. Like I think I'm at a place where I could tell you that. I want to throw up the next question, and then I got to take a tinkle because I chugged some coffee. So I want you to answer this question, Kyle.
Oh, did you do it from a proper big mug that has the proper lips on it to make sure you don't spill?
Very large. It's like mud on the bottom because I grind my own beans. Good lip. You know, when you have those cups that like the lip, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like where the lip comes out.
I know.
And then you drink it and it's fucking pouring out the sides of your mouth and onto your shirt. It's like, who designed this cup? Like you have very minimal things you got to do. Who the fuck puts lips on mugs to drink out of? Like it just does not make sense. But I'm going to throw up a question. I can hear you. I'm going to go take a tinkle.
Okay. All right. So Meatball Parm says, what's up, guys? Do you see a regression from Sauce this year? Regression, no, but I will tell you this right now. And I was just saying this to Blewett before we started hitting the record button. Watch Blewett's Sauce review, and Blewett is not going to be as high on Sauce as most of the football nation is, as well as most of you guys are. And now let me I don't want to, panic you guys either or whatever, but Blewett's very critical and always has been when it comes to cornerback play. But Blewett said, like, hey, listen, really pump the brakes on best corner in the league. Like, he might be top 5 to 10, but number 1, I'm not so sure yet. Now, this is something for Blewett to answer when he comes back from his tinkle. Where would you rank Sauce, Joe? Like, okay, you're saying that he's maybe top 5. Who are the 4 guys ahead of him? Because that's my question. Like, is it Jalen Ramsey still? Right? Like 2 weeks ago, Joe was saying, oh, well, the Jets definitely have like the best, corner duo in the league or whatever. He took a lot of qualms with, people saying the Dolphins were over him. So who is better, Joe? Is it Darius Slay? Like who's better than Sauce right now, Joe?
Xavier Howard. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's so that's hard to quantify just because, like, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say
I don't watch all of them as closely as I do Sauce.
Exactly. So it's not necessarily about like, hey, this guy is specifically better than him. It's just the overall sentiment. Like he's awesome. He's number 1. He has nowhere to improve. Right. Like, and I trust me. I'm talking about a top 5 corner in the NFL in his rookie year. We should be fucking thrilled. But with that being said, I would just pump the brakes with the best Revis, all that stuff. He's not to Revis's level yet.
No, that is true. He's nowhere.
His rookie year. His rookie year was better than Revis's rookie year. But there were plays that, like the Lazard PD across the middle. That was not a good play by Sauce. It was a good result. The Dolphins pick was not a good play by him. He's lucky the ball was out late and JFM hit the hand. Like Why don't you
pull up one of those plays? Why not? This is Sauce we're talking about. It's off season, Joe. We got time. Just pull up one of them. Just one of them.
Which
you said the pick that he had against the Dolphins, where Skylar Thompson was super late on the throw, or because you were saying on that play that if Skylar Thompson makes the quick read, like one of these quarterbacks that just click through reads, like if it's Tom Brady, right, that ball's getting completed probably.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah. So
yeah, and like, I'm not, we don't have
7th round rookie right here. Like this is a pick on a 7th round rookie right here. Like this is not the best play by Sauce. And break it down more, Joe. Why is this not such a great play?
Yeah, it's so weird. Like I hate breaking down stuff on like live streams, but versus the film review, like I have no problem with it. Really, at the end of the day, it's about him getting his blind spot attack right here. He can't see when the receiver's breaking. When the receiver does break, let me take it a little bit farther. He doesn't know he's breaking until he sees the quarterback start to load up to throw that ball. And let's say Skylar Thompson wasn't a UDFA 7th round draft pick, whatever it may be. The ball is out now and to the sideline. Instead, the ball is out late, gets hit by JFM, and there's plenty of separation where if this is a good throw, it's an easy completion for a first down. Sauce has elite athleticism to break on the ball, but the process of allowing a receiver to attack his blind spot and break in said blind spot is not good. Like it was an inside throw. It was a late throw. The result was a pick. Awesome. Is the process good in how he got there? It's not. So we go through a lot of this stuff in the film reviews. And again, I'm not trying to shit on the player because I fucking love Sauce. Like we all wanted him, but I'm just saying pump the brakes with like, oh, he can't improve in any type of way. Where the play versus the
there's certainly lots of room for improvement. So to go back to answering the question, do you see him regressing? No, I see him improving because there is plenty of room to improve, which makes you happy as a Jets fan, because if he was that good as a rookie, first team All Pro, just imagine how good he can be. Okay.
Yeah, and this is the same thing. I'm not really even going to get into like the nitty gritty of this play necessarily. But if we're just talking about a good throw with good timing right here, is he beat right here? He is. So the result is, okay, yeah, he catches up, the ball is behind and he gets the pass deflection. But if that ball is on time or even leading Lazard to the sideline right here, does he get that pass deflection? He doesn't. So is this perfect right here? It's not. The result is good. And again, the athleticism, the angle he takes, the fact that he gets his hand in there is all good. But a good ball, let's see, a good ball, are we talking about a pass deflection? We're not. If it's here, we're not talking about a pass deflection. So there is room for him to improve, and I can't necessarily quantify like, okay, yeah, he's this guy, that guy are better than him. I'm just saying there's room for improvement. I think he can be the best corner in the league. I think he probably is top 3 to 5. Am I putting him number 1 without context of the other guys? I can't do that right now. So people are like, fuck that, I'm not watching that.
I bet you if Joe watched all the other corners with the same amount of level of scrutiny as he just did with Sauce, he would not be able to find 5 cornerbacks that are better.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. And again, I think you get my point in saying like it's not a 1-for-1 thing. This guy is better, but there were plays that he was beat on that he made up because of elite athleticism. But elite quarterback, elite receiver, he's not making those plays. So it is what it is. I'm not trying to be too negative on here. Now I've talked shit about Lazard, Sauce, McCole Hardman, so Amos. So let's steer into some more positive, I guess. Let's go to the rest of the chat before we get into some of the superlatives and invest in that land. Yeah, it's something. Let's see. 118,142 for a 100-carat necklace. Then I got fucked on my 1.51 carat because I don't know.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it has to do, and someone else was saying this, the size of the diamonds. Like if it's like a really, really like one really big diamond, like it's going to be more than the same amount of total carats of a bunch of smaller ones.
Our Clarks are cursed. Jeremy Clark, remember him? Adrian Clark, Cam Clark, I remember. Chuck Clark. Who is Adrian Clark?
Yeah, who is Adrian Clark? And Jeremy Clark, I'm blanking on that one too.
Jeremy Clark was like the 6th or 7th round pick from Michigan, the really long, tall corner. You don't remember Jeremy Clark? Really? That's the same draft we drafted Derek Jones.
What happened to him though?
He just never really played. He just never. I don't know if he even made the team that year. But yeah, the same draft we drafted Derek Jones. Who else was in? I forget exactly who else was in that draft. But yeah, Dano says good evening. Only have a minute because I'm on my lunch. But have a good evening and let's go. I appreciate that you checking in, Dane. Still here. Wrote off Bam by about week. Okay, yeah. MC was hurt last year. Let's see.
No, we keep saying that MC was hurt last year, and there's, I think, a decent chance of that. But why was he not on the injury report week in, week out then?
I don't know. Rob D says, want to see Tanzel Smart steal a roster spot from Solomon Thomas. I would not be mad at that either. I like Tanzel Smart in his limited sample sizes. Solomon Thomas did turn on towards the end of the year. Like if you watch Solomon Thomas week 1 through 15, he seems to be a different player in week 17 through 18. Obviously, it's a very small sample size, but he was terrible last year. So you're hoping that he could be more towards the end of the season, Solomon Thomas. But I don't think Tanzel Smart does do that. Now, could he, should he? That's a conversation. But when you have Solomon Thomas, who is obviously a very big fan of Salah, Salah's a very big fan of him. All the stuff he does in the locker room, off the field, I just can't see him losing a roster spot. But let's see. The material itself is inexpensive. They can just, yeah, okay. We're talking about diamonds still. Let's keep moving down. He led in like every defensive metric. I guess you're talking about Sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, but like I'm much more process versus results, Kyle. That interception was a good process. I know you're going to say no. The result is good, so the defensive metric ranked
keep in
high.
mind, we played quarterbacks like Scholar twice, so you know we played Mac Jones twice, right? Tom Brady's out of the division, so you know Rodgers was he hurt last year, right? Like one thing, so Joe's been pumping out, like he's pumped out 3 Rodgers reviews, well at least for me already. And one thing he kept saying about Rodgers is he thinks that when the thumb injury happened, he was hanging a lot of his balls inside more. So, you know, that's clearly like an error on Rodgers on that last play that he just showed, like, because that ball's hung more in front of Lazard. I want to say Lazard catches it, but I don't know if he would necessarily with his hands. So, so, you know, I think that, you know, if Sauce was just going against like, you know, guys like Patty, like let's say he was in the AFC West last year, right? Well, Russell Wilson sucked last year, so I take that back. It was supposed to be good. You know, if he goes against better quarterback play week in, week out, is he the beneficiary of, you know, that pick right there was a gimme because of bad quarterback play. I don't know.
Is he in trail on the Lazard play? That is not what he was supposed to do on that play. You're talking about trail. Like trail is more for, you know, like a cover 2 corner, curl the flat, and they have a safety over the top. You're not going to play just trail.
He might have been talking about the other Lazard play, where the safety gets I think he gets like a illegal helmet to helmet hit or something like that on Lazard.
Oh yeah, maybe he didn't see the play, and that's what he was thinking about. That was a great play by Sauce, where
because he definitely put that comment in before you pulled the play up, so that's probably what he's talking about.
Okay, yeah. So maybe that's it. I'm talking about the crosser, which you already saw, Trey. So if he improves, it's pretty much unquestionable he'll be top 2. Listen, again, I have a Sauce jersey, I have a Sauce chain. I screamed like a little bitch when he was drafted. I love Sauce. Deserved the Rookie of the Year, deserved all of it. I'm just saying, ranking him not inconclusive, but ranking him, no doubt about it, number 1 versus, okay, he has some room to improve. Maybe he's 3 instead of 1. Like, that's all we're talking about. Let's not be crazy. Solomon Thomas does.
It is really important the way that you say it, though, because like, and just hear your tone, and the fact that you even mentioned 10 makes it seem like, oh wow, like, you know, he definitely thinks that there's several guys who are definitely, undoubtedly in front of Sauce.
Wicker Media says, all right, guys, 1 more hour at work. See you guys Thursday for trivia. I want some trivia. Fuck. I don't. Hey, Wicker Media, I want some trivia here. The Jets questions, Wicker Media questions, New York sports. I don't know if I see anything else. New York sports, green. I don't know if it's like Mets stuff, Yankees stuff, Jets stuff, but I would like a Jets trivia. Diamonds cost nothing to get. They charge what they want. Mega Monopoly. I don't know. I'm not trying to argue the value of diamonds and all that stuff, like cobalt and all that stuff people are digging for. Very valuable. Do something about our current team. Let's see. Oh, played guard in 07. Adrian Clark played guard for the Jets in 07. Okay. I was not a big enough fan to know like all backup offensive linemen and stuff like that. But there's trivia for us right there. We failed already. So see you later. NY Sports. Yoshi says, I do remember that Michael Carter had to leave the Bears game early due to injury because I lost a parlay that day because of him. Michael Carter left that game. I know Bam Knight had a decent game versus the Bears, and you had that Ty Johnson really nice run versus the Bears. I don't really remember a lot of Michael Carter, so maybe Yoshi's right there.
He probably is.
Bottom line, Sauce was the best corner in the league last year, and he will be just as good to better this year. Write it down. I don't think you're really taking a leap of faith there, James. And I don't think you can just say, like, bottom line, Sauce was the best, because where is your evidence of that? Like, if I'm going to provide examples of him not necessarily being the best,
PFF.
then, yeah. And again, listen, he could be number 1. Let's just say he's number 1. Fuck it right now. But with that being said, if PFF and all these numbers are your guys, you know, if that's your end all be all for how you evaluate players, go back to Amos, look at his 2020 grade, which was like an 87 or 85, which is very high, and then watch
2020 or 2021.
2020 was his
very,
and
very 2020 is like, okay, if we're talking 2020 grade, that's an even better year. That was the year that the Packers offense was like, you know,
that's the year you were watching, Kyle.
Yeah, okay. So that's like discussions of like, you know, I want to say all-time great offenses, but Rodgers tossed 48 touchdowns that year. 48.
So Kyle, his grade says he was very, very good, right? In 2020. Kyle, was he very, very good in 2020? He was not. You know that? I know that. So let's not go by grades and numbers and all this stuff. Sauce is elite. He's going to be probably the best corner in the NFL. I'm just trying to caution people saying that he does have room to improve. Holy shit.
I think what Joe's just saying is like, hey, listen, if Sauce, like, dude, first play of the game, Stephon Diggs, MetLife Stadium, burns the shit out of Sauce. Like, if you saw a couple of examples like that this year, when you expect him to even get better, like, just like, it's going to happen. Don't be super surprised. And, there are things that he can do to better his game, so less of that happens. Anyway.
Okay. He does. I'm assuming Wicker Media does trivia with Green Bean on Thursday night. Thick of it with Gunny. Oh, okay. It's like a segment thing. Cool. Maybe I'll check that out. But awesome. Okay, so Kyle, let's go to our stat predictions. Unless you have anything else you kind of want to hit on, but we've hit on a lot. I think I'm being very, very negative today. But I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to be honest with everybody.
You actually seemed pretty happy today.
I'm not happy. I'm just not going to lie to people. Like, you put out 2-hour film reviews to inform people of this stuff, but people think it's negative. And like, listen, at the end of the day, yeah, have I been negative the last couple of years? If that's how you view me, sure. But the Jets have also sucked ass for the last couple of years. There's a reason I was negative, because we sucked. Bless Austin sucked. People didn't realize it until too late, but it is what it is. James Carpenter sucked. Like, we've had plenty of shitty players.
I could have sworn he was going to be good. He had a 78 PFF grade for various parts of that one season where he started some games.
Who? Austin?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Did he really? 78?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not saying like it was his yearly grade, but like I remember like after like 4 or 5 weeks or whatever it was, like, oh, bless Austin as a 78, and that's part of the reason why some of the Jets fans loved him.
Yeah, I remember one of the I don't know if it's a stream or like a film review, but like it was like his cousin or whatever, like comments like, "Yo, you a bitch boy, had nothing."
He said that to you?
Whatever. Yeah, he commented on my YouTube. I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, he sucks. Who cares? Like, what? You're gonna come and beat me up? Like, shut up, dude. So okay. Let's get into the stat predictions.
What did he tell you? Like, oh, I'm blessed his cousin or whatever?
No, but his name was like Miles, not Miles Austin, but like something Austin. I'm like, bro, the only person who defend him this hard has to be related to him. So I assumed, nonetheless, Kyle, we're going to start off our stat predictions, which CYJ, I don't know if Nani stole this from me or whatever, but we were talking about doing a stat prediction, and then like a day or two later or a week later, CYJ comes out and does their stat prediction. So they fucking stole our topic. But hey, it is what it is. We're the same, brand here. But shame on you.
It's very common, Joe. Come on.
Shame on Michael Nania. He should know better. It's okay. It's okay. So Aaron Rodgers, his stats in 2023, Kyle. What do you have? I didn't do yards. I didn't do yards per attempt and all that shit because I don't really. I'm not the numbers guy, so I don't really know what's good, what's bad there. So maybe you can clue me into that. But
yeah, maybe you should start doing it because I've been telling you for over 2 years now that you should be.
I've been telling you about lightning rounds for 3 years, and you still don't understand. So let's. Okay, so
one is easier said than done, though.
True.
Right. Aaron Rodgers. So why don't we start off with passing touchdowns, and I'll tell you mine first, and then you could tell me yours, and then you tell me the next stat first.
Okay.
So passing touchdowns, I have a 36.
37. One more.
And I had 37 initially, but I was like, well, he had 37 2 years ago. Maybe I should just be a little humble and bring it down.
And I'm not going to put words in your mouth. The only reason I'm predicting that low is because I think the Jets are going to run the ball quite a bit. Like, I'm not saying a 50-50 split or anything like that, but I think if the Jets are in situations where they can take the pressure off of Aaron Rodgers' arm, they're going to take the pressure off of Aaron Rodgers' arm. So I don't think he's going to throw the ball as much as he had in recent years. So I'm going to go with 38, or with 37, which still breaks our record by 6, right? So 37 touchdowns. I have 8 interceptions for Aaron Rodgers. I know he's had some years of 4, some years of 5, but if you did watch the part 3 of the Aaron Rodgers review, he might be 95% of what he was a few years ago, but he's still really, really good. But I still think there's going to be a pick or two because of like a ball that's hung inside or something like that, just kind of accounting for age and stuff there. So I'm gonna have 8 picks.
I have 10, which is a high number for him. I know he exceeded that last year, but I have 10. And I actually, didn't feel great about writing that, but I'm just trying to be a little realistic here as well. So.
Really? So you're thinking he's going to they're going to run the ball a little bit more, so you're going to have 36 picks, but he's still going to have just as many interceptions when he throws balls?
Part of the reason I'm saying that is it's an extra game this year. I don't think the Jets are going to lock up a bye. So it's one extra game. And like you said, he might have, just because of age, his arm is very close to what it used to be, but it's, not 100% the same of what it used to be too. So there could be like, just like a mistake just because of, a little bit lost of ability. And then like, I don't know, he did have some questionable decisions last year. I'm just trying to factor in the age factor, Joe. But listen, how many times has Rodgers exceeded 10 in his entire career? I know he had 12 last year, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, like the guy averages what, 6 or 7 a year for his entirety of his career. So
Yeah.
I know 10 seems high, but I'm just trying to, be a little realistic. And maybe I'm dead wrong. Like me being realistic is,
You could see
you're
him
way
throw
high.
5. Like if he's gonna be really safe with the ball and
Wouldn't be
they're just
shocked
gonna
at
run the
all.
ball,
Wouldn't
I
be
could see him throw 37 and 5. But I went kind of in the middle.
Literally, look, if I'm not mistaken, he's like 475 regular season touchdowns in his career versus like 100 interceptions or something like that for his career. Something like if it's like I think it might be like 100 on the dot. So
Yeah.
like that's almost a 5-to-1 ratio. So
Yeah. And I have
it's
about
like
a 5-to-1
the
ratio.
most like touchdown to interception ratio like in the entirety of NFL history. I'm pretty sure.
If it is 5-to-1, I have like a slightly higher than 5-to-1 because 8 times 5 is 40 and I have 37. So I have it at like, a little bit more, or a little bit less. So what is your completion percentage and your yards for Rodgers this year?
I had 68 completion percentage and yards 42.15.
Okay, we're pretty close. I had 68 as well. I think the league average is like 66 or 67. So he's better than average with that. And I think part of the reason he's going to get, he's not going to be like 70, 71, 72 is, and I said this in the review, he's like a conservative gunslinger. Like there are times where he'll have an intermediate route or a short route open, and it's the first quarter, tie game, 1st and 10, fuck it, I'm throwing it deep to Lazard. Like he has some of that, where I don't think his completion percentage ever going to be like really, really high because he does have some gunslinger tendencies to him. So yeah, 68, and I have 41.84 for the yards. So we're like within 50 yards of the yards, same completion percentage. We're within 1 or 2 on touchdowns, 1 on 2 our picks. So we're pretty close to what we think Rodgers is going to do this year. Kyle, who is your receptions leader for the Jets?
Hold on. What about rushing?
Oh, sorry.
What about rushing yards and touchdowns?
Oh, I didn't do that. But go ahead with yours.
I had about 100 rushing yards. It's interesting. Like he had some years where he was having like 300-400 rushing yards in a season.
Do you have 100? Do you have 100 on the dot?
I have 100 on the dot and 3 rushing touchdowns. Like, dude, he's done this. And like, shout out to someone named Justice Mosqueda, who's a big Packers fan. He's been saying this for so many years on Twitter. Like Rodgers, every time he's gonna boot, he always is gonna do a pump fake, and he's never gonna throw the ball. He always runs to his right, pump fakes. People fall for it all the time. He sells the pump really hard. Like he really puts his body into it. It works all the time on the goal line. There's a really good example where he gets Jalen Ramsey with it. So I think, 3 rushing touchdowns, and I'm not talking about quarterback sneaks too. I'm thinking like, yeah, it's just one of these where like, he's just going to beat people with a pump fake, run it in the end zone. And 7.8 yards per attempt.
Okay, I'm gonna say 7.8 yards per attempt because I don't know how to quantify that necessarily. I'm gonna say, since you said 100, I'm gonna say 101. Just go one over you, and I'm gonna say 2 touchdowns on rushing touchdowns for Rodgers. I hope he doesn't run the ball at all. Jordan Victor says I was overly positive the last.
He might have been like saying like in regards to like Zach Wilson predictions or whatever.
Oh, for sure. Yoshi says I don't know if it's ever happened, but I would love to see a Joe, Kyle, Nania, and Ben do a live stream together.
The 4 of us.
Maybe.
Did we ever do one with me, you, Nania, and Robbie? No.
I honestly, I think 4 is too much. Even 3 is too much at some points, but 4 is definitely. But maybe we'll think about that. CJ Uzama of 7. Interesting. Okay. Kyle, your receptions leader. Who is leading and with how many receptions?
Receptions, I have Garrett Wilson 110.
Holy shit. Okay. That's just so it's not. I'm saying I think that's a lot just because I think the ball is.
He had like 83 last year.
Did he have 83 last year?
It was like 83 last year as a rookie with Zach Wilson throwing him the ball for a good portion of the season.
Okay, I still think. What did you say? 110.
110, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going less just because like I again with all the other weapons the Jets have, and hopefully they have some leads and they're running the ball more. I'm gonna go less. I'm gonna go with 90. receptions, not breaking because we're pretty far off in that one. 90 to 110.
We
How
are, and I
many-
bet you the chat will be much closer to me than they are with you on that one.
Wow, the more positive guy, they're gonna go with that. Shocker. Even though I have faith in my 65 here, 110 is a lot. Like how much did the leader have last year? I don't even know.
Like the
Art says
receptions-
92. Look at that, the chat. Thank you, Art. Keep them pouring in. Closer to 90.
All right. So let me debate you a little bit here. We were just arguing earlier in the stream about who's like the legitimate second option here. Okay, Corey Davis misses 4 or 5 games this year. Is Lazard going to steal a whole bunch of receptions? Is Hardman going to steal a whole bunch of receptions? Right? Maybe they have to ride Brees a little bit less early in the season because of easing him in to his injury. So okay, yeah, Art, the ball is going to be spread around, but we like the depth of and we even said, like, is Cobb going to play more than 10 snaps a game? So like if Garrett had 83 last year, I don't know. I just we all think he's going to take a big jump from year 1 to year 2, and now he has Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. I mean,
I like what Yoshi's saying here, because this is the way I could see it skyrocketing to that, because they did use Devontae a lot in the quick game and in the screen game with him in Green Bay. So maybe they do that more with Wilson, which I thought they should have done last year, because Garrett Wilson was elite with the ball in his hands for Yak, and I didn't really get him in a lot of situations to run. So I could see that being the case if they're going to do that. But I'm more, again, I just think they're going to have some leads. They're going to be running the ball more so than having an offense where they spread the ball out a lot, which I think they will. But I think I'm leaning more towards 90 just because of the way the run game is going to come into effect. I think they're going to run the ball quite a bit. But hey, we'll see towards the end of the year. We always come back and revisit it. So I'm saying 90. You're saying 110.
I think it's fair to say whether it's 90 or 110, we would assume that his yards per catch will dramatically improve because there'll be a lot more bigger plays.
What is your receiving yards for Wilson for 110?
I have 14-15.
Really? Okay. So I have less receptions than you, but I have 1388. And again, I didn't put this into a calculator and say oh, this is the yards per catch and all that shit. I'm not getting that deep into the woods, but
I didn't do that either.
Okay, yeah. So I think 1388, and I think he could easily be not easily, but that's obviously crazy to say, but I think he could be a 1500 yard guy. But while not having necessarily a great number 2, he has Lazard, he has he has Hardman, he has Lazard, he has Cobb, Davis, Conklin, Brees Hall. He has so many other weapons around him where I think he's capable of it. I just don't think he's going to see that much productivity because of all the other guys.
With your receiving yards and receptions, that's 15.4 yards per catch. That's a big number, yards per catch. So you better have him with a lot of touchdowns. That's a lot of explosive touchdowns right there, Joe.
Is it? Again, I didn't calculate it, so I don't really know. Should I put the yards less? I don't know. Let's say 1331.
No, I think you should. I think you should put the receptions up, but no, keep it.
No. I'm going 90. Now I'm going 1331 because you bullied me into it. So we're going 1331. I have 9 receiving touchdowns for Garrett Wilson. I feel like that could be high.
Dude, you had 8 or 9 last year with Elijah, bro.
10. We're going 10 touchdowns for Garrett Wilson. Kyle,
I have 12.
I'm not letting you bully me. Okay. Why is that so crazy? 9 to 12.
It's not.
Yeah. So so you have 100. So you have 110, about a little bit over 14 and 12 touchdowns. I have 90, 13, 31, and 10 for Garrett. We have a super chat from Daniel Murphy, which I'll highlight right here. He says, "What team or teams do you think are bad matchups for us?"
Damn, I'd have to think about that more.
I'm gonna say initially right off the jump, the Chiefs, because of their tight end. Any team who has heavy tight end usage, I'm concerned about. Any team who's quick in the screen game. I'm not saying the Pats are concerning, but the way the Pats will test the Jets are going to test their linebackers and safeties, so you have to think about them. Past that, maybe teams who run the ball. I don't know. I'm saying teams who attack the middle of the field, attack the linebackers. So I'd be so obviously the Chiefs, yeah, no shit, you're concerned about it, but specifically because of Kelsey, I would say. And then are there any other teams later in the season who are kind of like that in terms of attacking teams with their tight end? I don't know. Thank you for the super chat, Kylie. Have any other answers for that one? It's just
Yoshi mentioned the Eagles. Goddard's a damn good tight end, so You know,
good tight end, good running game.
and they're just stacked all over the place, man. So yeah, of course you're concerned about the Eagles.
They're a bad matchup for anybody. I'm just trying to think about like teams like who are specifically bad matchups for the Jets. Again, Kelsey, Eagles with Goddard. Okay, I understand that. What other stud tight ends do we play this year?
We do play the Giants, who recently got
Waller. If we lose to the Giants, I'm really pissed, man. We can't lose to the Giants.
Yeah,
but
I hate
it's hard to answer. I would just say teams who are going to run a lot of quick hitting stuff, and have put an emphasis on like our linebackers and safeties being emphasized. So appreciate the super chat. Murph, what do you say, Eagles? Yeah, I think the Eagles are a bad matchup for anybody. But okay, so continuing on, Kyle. We're going to go to rush yards. Your rush yard leader for the Jets is
you go
Breece Hall.
first. I've been going first with everything.
I don't think so. I think that's
not everything, but most things.
Yeah, not everything. Okay, so I think I went first for receptions. I think I went first for yards, and I think I went first for reception or touchdowns. But hey, it's fine. It's spotty memory there for Kyle. Rush yards, I think people might think this one's a little bit low, but I'm factoring in the injury. I'm factoring in spreading the ball out. This is just a feel thing. I'm going Breece Hall. Maybe a little bit higher. Okay, I'm going to go just a tiny bit higher. I'm saying 1,088 yards for Breece Hall. So just getting over 1,000, a little bit closer to 1,100 yards for Breece.
Okay, I have Breece at 1,150.
Okay. So it's not so far off, and I'm assuming part of that is the fact that we have we're 4 deep at running back. He's coming off of an injury, so I'm sure that's factoring in a little bit, Kyle. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but that's what it seems like.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay.
What about touchdowns for Breece? Or considering it is Breece, it might not be.
It's Breece. I have 8 rushing touchdowns for Breece.
Okay, I have 10. 10, but maybe it's more realistic that he has 10 total. He at least had 1 receiving touchdown last year. Almost 2 that Dolphins one was so close.
His first touchdown of the year was against the Bengals, right?
No, he had one against the Browns. He had one against the Browns right in the flat.
That was like the swing route. Yeah. He walked in. 10 total. Art has him at 969 with a high ass yards per carry. So he doesn't think he's getting a lot of carries. Hawks at 1,100. Like 750 receiving though. Okay.
I don't think that's going to happen.
That's a little bit high, but it's okay. Let Hawk live.
It's not Marshall Faulk here.
Let Hawk live. So sacks, Kyle. Who's your sack leader for the Jets?
Okay. Yeah. You might be happy with this one. This is different than the sack leader I had the past couple of years. I now have Quinnen Williams replicating his total from last year he had 12 last year, right?
12.
Yeah, so I have him at 12 again.
Okay. I have him at 11. I have him 1 less. I just, based on the rotation, I think Lawson's going to finish a little bit more than he did last year. I think the Jets actually realize that Bryce Huff is a player who's worth playing on game day, which they didn't realize for the first 2 or 3 weeks last year. You also have McDonald. You have JJ developing. You have Clemens developing. You have JFM hopefully.
The way that I kind of looked at that, though, Joe, is I see these guys like, really kind of like pushing the quarterback to have to step up and step right into Big Quinnen.
But you could look at it either way, right? Because I can take the same argument. Okay, he's going to push the pocket into those guys, right? Like so either way you want to look at it.
I'm just saying, like, I think so. We were talking, an hour ago, whatever it was, when someone's like, "Well, what's going to be the Jets' total sacks on the season? Is it going to be more than 45? Is it going to be in the 50s?"
Rusty, 1,000.
We assume it's going to be more. So, like, if it's more, I have no problem putting Quinnen at the same amount that he had last year.
Okay. This is not a question. I mean, how many sacks does McDonald get this year? What do you think?
Well, I didn't write that down, but I could see him getting at least 6, 7. That would be pretty realistic, right? 6, 7.
Really? I'm thinking like 4, just because I don't think he's gonna play a ton. Like think about how productive Huff was on a snap by snap basis last year. One of the better pass rushers.
How many sacks did he have?
4 or 5. Right?
Really? Is that it? No.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me say it. Let's say I could be wrong. Bryce Huff stats. I think he only had 4 or 5. Could be wrong. Let's see. Yeah, 3.5.
Wow.
So
okay. He definitely was much more productive than that, though.
Sure, but yeah, I'm thinking McDonald with about 4, maybe JJ at like 3 or 4, maybe 5.
Sacks are definitely a weird stat, man, because so much of it is like Calvin Pace that 1 year, 10. Come on.
Jesse has him at 4.5. Art has him at 8. I just don't think he plays enough for 8. We have Murphy talking about Pokemon. I'm not a big Pokemon. I was a big Pokemon guy back in my heyday. Like you had Game Boy Color with yellow, red, and blue. When it got to like silver and gold and all that shit, I was out. But like the OG was like 150 or whatever. I love that shit. I could still probably name all of them. But nonetheless,
I got scammed. Well, I actually just got deceived once. See, when we were playing back in the day, and this person wanted to trade my Kadabra from me. I was like, oh, sure, I'll trade you a Kadabra. And then it fucking turns into an Alakazam the moment we traded
based
it.
on the trade.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly how it played out, but I felt like such a scumbag. This is probably the lowest point in my entire life. Like I've done some fucked up stuff. This was probably the worst thing I've ever done. I think my 5th or 6th birthday, and we were going to the circus, and my buddy fell asleep, and like that's when you used to have to link up the Game Boys to trade. And he was sleeping, and I might have traded myself like a Flareon or some shit like that when he was sleeping for like a fucking Magikarp. I think I did give it back. I just don't know if he called me on it before I gave it back, or I just transferred it back because I felt like a dickbag. But yeah, I almost stole a Flareon. I'm pretty sure.
That's the worst thing you ever did in your life.
That is fucked up, dude. Like that.
Well, it is, but I mean, you were a kid, and
it's fucked up, dude. Like they're just showing your mentality. Like I like listen, like you might, do something when you're drunk or something like that, but you can excuse it on the alcohol. But robbing a Flareon is pretty low class. It is pretty low class. So it is what it is. But yeah, I have 11 sacks.
Coming clean after all these years.
I know, right? So now people are gonna click off. Like, dude, anybody who could steal a Flareon is just I can't watch them. They're terrible human. Okay.
I mean, if you were gonna do all that, at least do it for a good Pokemon, Joe. Flareon?
At that time, I think it was difficult because you had to like get the stone for a Flareon, and then I don't know. Maybe it was an Alakazam or some shit. I don't know. Tackles for loss, Kyle. We both hit this one, or I hit this on the money last year, so I think I just kept it the exact same as last year. But who was your tackle for loss leader, and with how much?
So last year, I'm pretty sure I had this number exactly correct. I had Quinn and Williams for, I believe, 12 last year, but I'm putting him down for 14 this year.
Okay. I had Quincy at 12 last year, and he hit 12 last year. I think, yeah, so Q and Quincy both tied at 12. I'm going to keep it at Quincy with 12 this year.
Okay.
Tackles, Kyle, we were both off on this one.
Off by like a good
quite a bit
extra.
Yeah, quite a bit. So tackles, I'm going to go CJ Mosley with 102. I think last year he had like just under 100. So a little bit of an uptick this year, 102 for Mosley.
I have Mosley at 98.
Okay, so pretty close on that one. Our offensive over, and again, quantifying this as a DVOA, whatever it is. What's your offensive rank for this year? Where are the Jets going to finish in terms of overall?
This is the one thing I keep. I didn't write this down, and I added a couple things when we spoke 2 weeks ago because like, oh, I missed that last year because we were doing a review. I don't have this. All right, offensive rank. Let me shoot off top of the head. I will say the Jets finish with the 7th ranked offense in the league.
Yeah, well, what else are you gonna do? You're gonna like research it. It's all this kind of stuff is off the top of our head. I put 9th. I think that's obviously it's a pretty big jump. You're a top 10 offense. I could see it being 7th. I could see it being 5th. I could see it being 4th. I'm just trying to hedge my bets a little bit. I think they're a very good. They have very good potential, but they also have some they have some ability to not be as good. Like that's holy shit, I'm breaking ground there. But you have an offensive line which has battled some injuries, has a ton of question marks now. Plenty of depth as well, but still plenty of question marks up front. You have receivers who, for the most part, we like, but you have Corey Davis, who's going to miss at least 3 or 4 games. You have Lazard, who's probably going to miss a game or 2, and it's very questionable hands. So you have some questions where it makes me hedge my bets enough to not say, top 5 or anything like that. So I'm going to go with solid 9. You said 7. Defensive rank.
The offensive line concerns is still what scares me. There's a lot of question marks there.
Yeah, you have first was 151. Thank you. 12 offensive DVOA, 8 defensive for Art. What do you have on defensive rank, Kyle?
And I do like that Art just brought up DVOA because that's certainly, I think, a better metric, even though stats are very flawed. I do generally like that stat. And I do think that that's better than the whole total yards. Where would the Jets total defense rank? I will say the Jets defense ranks, I will say 8th.
8th. Okay. So some regression. Is there a reason for said regression?
I don't know. It could just be that they're playing against better teams. I don't know, man. I don't have a good. I don't have really have a good one with this. I mean, like, yeah, okay. You have DJ Reed year 2 in the system. They didn't add much at safety. Mosley's not getting any better. Is Quincy going to get any better? I like what they added on in terms of like that, adding a little bit more edge rush and juice. But other than like Sauce really coming from year 1 to year 2, where's the huge upgrade on defense? Right? Chuck Clark's probably not playing. You could argue that, okay, Amos is an upgrade at safety. Michael Carter in year 3. I don't know. It's very hard to be a very good defense consistently. So I don't know. I maybe 8th is too low for me. Where did they rank last year? What was their total rank last year in terms of yards?
I think they were 4th.
Hey, Art, do you know what their DVO ranking was last year?
I'm pretty sure it was 4th.
DVO? Hey?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Okay.
At least like when people talk about their rank overall, they typically mention or they say 4th. So with that being said,
look what Art just said. I hate to be quote negative, but our defense was remarkably healthy last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did add Big Al Woods too. So
you're gonna like that film review. He is fun on the inside.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that one. Okay.
Yes.
So what do you have it, Joe? I guess you're significantly higher than me.
No, so I had it at 4th initially. Then I put it to 6th while you're talking. Then I put it to 5th because I get there's a few points. Yes, we were remarkably healthy last year, so you're going to face an injury or two, right? Knock on wood, it's not anybody big, but you're going to face an injury or two. Guys going to miss a game or two. Okay, so you have to factor in they're not going to be as healthy last year because they were perfectly healthy for the most part. You have to factor in we're not, and obviously we have to see exactly how the season plays out. But you're assuming you're not going to play as many backup quarterbacks as the Jets did last year, right? And I get that. I think their points allowed against teams with backup quarterbacks was like 16 point something. And then with the starters, it only went up to like high 18s or low 19s. So it's not like it's that much of a difference playing starters. But you didn't play Patrick Mahomes. You didn't play Justin Herbert. You didn't play, the Eagles. You didn't play. There's a better quarterbacks on the schedule this year. So that's another reason for the slight regression. But the reason I didn't have it multiple spot drop like Kyle did, where he had 5 spots, I only have it 1 spot drop, while factoring in, okay, better teams or better quarterbacks and factoring in injuries. Okay, I get that. But the defense is also going to be very much more rested this year and in much better scenarios this year. So that's why I didn't drop them down so much. I get it's 1v2 there, but having Aaron Rodgers is going to.
It's weird. It's weird too, because like the defense could be a lot better in terms of like total touchdowns that they allow, but let's say they are playing with significant leads because the offense is better. It could be like a Blake Bortles scenario where the other team is just racking up like, okay, they got 50 yards on this drive in garbage time, and then they got 50 yards in that drive in the 3rd and 4th quarter, and they start racking up yards, but it's like, okay, well, those yards were pretty meaningless. So it's weird. I mean, the defense could be a lot better, but not necessarily be better on paper. Let's go to these super chats. George Perez, keep up the great work. Love the reviews and the discussion. Thanks, George.
Oh yeah, cool. I didn't even see that. There's 2 back to back,
and sneakers to boots. You see, Joe, I'm not that bad at my job. Fellas, been a minute. Appreciate the off-season content. Who is your number 2 defensive tackle to fill in for Q? God forbid. I like the idea of Clemens playing a more of a 3 to 5 tech. Had good run defense. Pass rush needs work. His pass rush definitely needs work. How do you want to answer the defensive tackle question, Joe?
It kind of depends on the down and distance, right? Like the problem with the Jets last year is that they did those full blown rotations, which I think is pretty stupid. And this year if they do full blown rotations, Kyle, I'm going to hammer Salah every single week on here, which doesn't mean anything for lots of people who actually watch. Because Salah's not.
I feel like they did more of that 2 years ago than they did last year. Would you agree with that?
Maybe, but it was still to the point last year where I noticed it being a detriment to the defense. There was plenty of plays like 3rd and 1 where you had Solomon Thomas and Nathan Shepard at D tackle. Like, what the fuck are we doing? So having Al Woods and having Quentin Jefferson, guys who are polar opposite ends of the spectrum. One's a good pass rusher and not a good run defender. The other one's a good run defender and not a good pass rusher. Don't buy this shit that Al Woods can rush because he really can't very much. So they are going to have to play it by down, but like on 1st and 10, I would probably have Al Woods in there over Quentin Jefferson. I think he probably plays a little bit more, but that's a hard one to do. But God forbid, I like the idea of so Clemens is playing more inside. The only thing with Clemens is like, is it good weight that he added on? Because like he looked thicker, but I don't know if it was good thicker. Maybe it was.
Does.
But,
I mean, listen, he does look pretty jacked. I will give him that. He's an impressive looking dude.
But like, I'm interested to see how that works with Clemens, just because I don't know if adding weight makes him like, obviously it makes him stronger, but I don't think he has like the athleticism upside or
I'm sorry to say it. This guy has no juice. He does not have any, like he just wins off pure motor, aggression, strength, grown man strength at that. But the guy has, so they were timing Will McDonald's get off. Like the people were talking about like some of the reporters that were at training camp practice, like how Will McDonald's get off was really good. Bryce Huff is really good. Clemens, it's the opposite. And then even when he is moving, looks like his feet are stuck in quicksand, man. So like, if you're rushing the guy,
is it something where you think, okay, he's already not like so limber and athletic where adding strength will just help him? Because like to me, like him moving inside isn't a JFM thing. Like, I think JFM is a little bit more finesse than he is inside. Where with Clemens, like you're adding weight, but does he have enough strength at 290 to win like that specifically on the inside? You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's a great question. We haven't seen enough of it to really say. And I mean, like I know they would kick, and there's a decent amount of it in his Texas A&M tape where you see them kick him inside. But I never felt like, oh wow, he's like absolutely dominant when they move him inside. Like he was fine. But he's also going against college offensive linemen, which are significantly worse on average, especially in the. Well, he was in the SEC. I was thinking of the Texas A&M Big 12 days. Yeah, he's fine. I mean, like it remains to be seen. Clemens is a fine player. I like him on obvious rundowns. But if you're expecting serious pass rush from him, either from the interior or especially from the outside, just don't get super excited for that.
And I like Clemens a lot and what he did last year, but you have to also go back and like watch a lot of his plays. And a lot of his plays, like he was, and again, I'm dropping the F-bomb a lot here, and I'm not going to do it now that I said it, but he was jacking up like tight ends a lot. It wasn't necessarily offensive linemen. So he was on the strong side, but kind of collapsing the edge with strength against tight ends. So we'll see.
And there's a lot of it, like, him making a good hustle play on the backside of an outside zone play where he chases down the running back or something like that. Or he cracks the tight end who's a sifter on a split zone.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm down on Clemens, but I think people talking about Clemens like bulking up, like he's gonna be some type of like savage on the inside this year. I'm much more wait and see on what exactly he's gonna do with added weight. I think he won a lot with power on the outside, but I'm not sure transition to the inside, even with 10 or 15 pounds more of muscle, how well he's gonna do against guards who are used to that type of power. Playing guys like Al Woods, then you go to Clemens. Is he going to have enough power to do that? I don't know. We'll see. So moving on, Kyle, to our offensive, like the offensive and defensive rookie of the year. Like, can you choose anybody differently? So I'm going to go offensive rookie of the year, Pittman, because he's the only offensive rookie who's really going to play. And the only defensive rookie who's really going to play is McDonald. So those are your offensive rookie.
Wait, Joe, hold on, Joe. You mean to tell me you don't think Carter Warren is a serious candidate for offensive rookie of the year?
Did you watch that? Did you watch that one?
No, but you told me how much you hate him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it's not that I hate him. I just what happens is I get frustrated, I guess, about the narratives I hear. Like you hear that he's pro ready, and I watch him. I'm like, he's not pro ready. So I think I get almost like I get more negative because of what I hear spun on Twitter more than I maybe should be. But nonetheless, fourth round pick is what it is.
You also don't like big guys who are soft. Like you hate you did not like his tape, and you really didn't like. God, why do I always forget this guy's name? The Giants lineman that they took.
Evan Neal.
Evan Neal. Oh, man.
I hate Evan Neal, and he sucked last year. By the way,
see, there goes the word hate. I told you.
He sucked. He sucked last year, and he sucked in college. I don't get the whole top 10 pick like that. That was. It was terrible.
See, Art. No, he hates Evan Neal. Art just said it.
What was Evan Neal's? Let's see what his PFF grade was last year.
Joe pulling up a PFF grade on the live stream.
That's all I have. I heard he was asked though. 44.1. Terrible.
John, terrible. That's bad. Can't say either of us are surprised there. And dude, there are some people probably watching this right now that wanted him over Sauce.
Oh, guarantee there was. Yeah, I did not like him at all in that film review. He got trashed for 28 out of 30 plays in that one. But nonetheless, yeah, offensive rookie of the year, Tippmann for both of us, defensive rookie of the year. The only guy I could see creeping into this would be Abanikanda if McGovern starts, but I'm still gonna say Tippmann's gonna start over McGovern if it's somewhat close. Your overall rookie of the year, Kyle. I think we had at least a discussion about that one.
I wrote Tippmann for that one.
Me too. I just think he plays more, right? At the end of the day, like McDonald on the higher side of it, he played 25% of the reps. You know, like it's, you know, you had Huff last year, like 20-ish around that area. So how much is he going to play? You know, even if it's 25, is that enough? Offensive player of the year.
I have Garrett Wilson.
As do I, my friend. And I don't think that we'll talk about this in a second. Offensive player of the year, Garrett Wilson. Defensive player of the year, I have Q. Kyle has Sauce.
Did I even write that? Yeah, I wrote Sauce.
Okay. Yeah, and you can argue either one. Like Q is a top 2 or 3 defensive tackle in the league right now. Obviously, has to prove it for farther years to cement himself there. Sauce is a top 3 corner in the league, top 3 to maybe 5. So either way on that one, I completely understand. But
people who are no strangers to the show know that, like, I was thoroughly impressed with what I saw for Quinn Williams. I have no problem saying I was one of the biggest Quinn Williams detractors over the past couple of years, just because he just didn't live up to the hype. But last year, he finally really lived up to the hype.
Yeah,
so,
and you watched the reviews.
Yeah. Oh yeah, your review. Dude, Joe was way higher on Q in his review than he was on Sauce in his review. And I the way I'm saying that makes you think like, oh, he's really, really down on Sauce. That again, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, like, you know, let's just say that in terms of pointing out flaws and stuff and like room for improvement, like there's more room for improvement with Sauce and stuff. So
the only thing I will say typically with like, there's some reviews where you kind of want to keep it interesting, and like a defensive lineman not winning a pass rush rep can be very, very boring. So I tend to go a little bit more positive with those reviews and then point out the negatives in my things. Like, oh, look, he didn't win. Okay, I could.
Yeah, it's very good that you're aware of your biases, right? And that's one thing I've come to notice. Like everyone has them, and it's good to be upfront with your audience about that.
Well, because like, oh, he doesn't win this rep. Okay, I can show you 150 reps he didn't win because he's not getting 150 sacks this year. So it gets to a point where it's a little bit boring with those type of things. But nonetheless, moving on. I'm Q. Who's your MVP?
Oh, come on, dude. Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. So you think the same way I do. Offensive player of the year means, like, to me, who is the best at their position that year for the Jets relative to their position. Most valuable is the most valuable. If you took Aaron Rodgers and you put in Zach Wilson, we're fucked. If you took out Q and put in just Quentin Jefferson, we're still fucked, but less fucked. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Rodgers is undoubtedly the MVP of the Jets this year, for good or for bad. He's going to be the most valuable player. So, moving past those, Kyle, we have 10 minutes. I can push a little bit past. I'm going to go to sleep. But superlatives. These are kind of stupid, to be honest, but we like doing them. I have one surprise one for you in later. But who is your strongest player on the Jets per square inch? So not the overall strongest, the strongest relative to their body size.
I had really had some trouble doing some of these this year. I didn't change mine since last year.
I'm interested to see people in the chat, by the way, too, for some of these.
I just kept it the same. I kept it as DJ Reed. Like, he's a small dude, but you know, he's pretty damn intense. You know, we saw him lay a nasty hit on somebody in Denver last year. Right. We saw a lot of that in his Seattle team the year before. So I have it. DJ Reed. What about you?
I have DJ Reed as well, but I think you can make an argument for Michael Carter II because he plays well in the box. I think you can make an argument for Jordan Whitehead because he's only, listen, I do not like him, but for per inch, like, he's like only 195 pounds and he fucking lays dudes out. And then you also have Quincy Williams, but he's like 230. Realistically, if I really, really had to, like, if we can somehow quantify it, I would probably say Jordan Whitehead's actually probably the strongest player on the team.
What's Whitehead's height? How tall is Whitehead?
It's 5'11", maybe. Let's see. Jordan Whitehead. But
Reed's not even 5'10". He's like 5'9", right? Yeah,
he's 5'10", 198, Whitehead. And DJ Reed weight is 5'9", 187. So actually he's thicker per inch than Whitehead. So yeah, I'm going Whitehead. I'm changing it completely to Whitehead because Reed's actually on
Wow.
this wages.
Could you imagine Joe says something positive about Jordan Whitehead? Miracles do happen.
Being strong doesn't have nothing to do with you being a good football player. So, Kyle, the next, actually, let's do, I didn't add this one, but we have strongest per square inch. Who's the weakest player per square inch?
Okay, weakest per square inch. Good question. Weakest. I would put Chuma Odoga if he was still on the team.
I didn't think about this one, so this one's kind of tough because I didn't
prep this one either. Some of these I had to scroll up and down the Jets roster several times before I could decide on who I was going to pick.
Yeah,
especially like best hands. Ooh, that was tough. Weakest per square inch. Weakest.
There's only two I can think of. I've seen.
All right, let's go with Kuntz, dude. Let's go with Kuntz. The dude's 6'8" or thereabouts, 6'7", 6'8", 255, give or take.
I think he's actually 6'6" and 5/8. But yeah.
Okay. Can we say 6'7"? We can say 6'7", right?
Sure.
Okay. 6'7". And he's like 255. And dude, just watch the guy try to block. Whether he's, like some of these guys that they're in certain situations, they're good at blocking, right? Like inline tight end blocking a guy straight up, like blocking an edge defender. Ruckert struggled quite a bit in college. But if you asked him to be a sifter, in the split zone, he could lay dudes out. And we saw that in some of the Miami tape last year.
Yeah.
Kuntz, that dude can't block in any situation. So I'm going to go with him.
Yeah, I think Kuntz is a good answer. I saw Carter Warren in here, and I saw Max Mitchell in there. But I think
honestly, Max Mitchell was a consideration for me in terms of something else, but not really a strong one.
Yeah,
Max Mitchell's not that strong.
Yeah, no, and I think Carter Warren is actually strong.
Said Sauce, real thin. Yeah, but he's also small. Well, he is tall. I mean, relatively tall, but
yeah, but per square inch, I don't think that's gonna factor in. Okay, so Kyle, next one.
And listen, Sauce. I mean, take it for what it's worth, but he's had some relatively big hits. I mean, I would not call him a big hitter at all, but he's had his moments, right? Like everyone thinks, that he laid a dude out on a couple blitzes in his college tape. So
yeah. Who is your most likely player to finger the Kyle Wilson special? Who is your most likely player to finger wag a dropped pass?
Okay, I'm changing my answer from last year. Last year I had Eccles, but I wrote Sauce for this year, and here's why. He knows he can because he's earned the bragging rights, right? All first team, all pro as a rookie, right? A lot of people are already pegging him in as like one of the best corners. Some people are already talk, oh wow, he was that good as a rookie, he can maybe be Hall of Fame. Like, come on, that talk, some of that's, you could try to ignore that stuff, but some of it's going to get into your head. Plus we already know he talks a lot of shit. We saw it in training camp last year. We see it on the field, like he's jawing with Jamar Chase. Had a beast of a rookie season. Sauce doesn't give a shit. He's talking shit to him, so it's got to be Sauce, right?
Yeah. No, well, actually not. I put I don't know if it's like a feel thing or whatever it is, but I have Quincy Williams as the player.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
Come on, it's Sauce, and come on. The chat's gonna agree with me.
I don't know. You said the chat was gonna agree with you completely about the 110 receptions thing. It's kind of actually split. Nonetheless, who's your funniest player on the Jets?
I kept it the same. I kept that as Michael Carter, although I thought about changing it, and I'm thinking about changing it even more based on what you just said about everything he did after his boy was traded away. But I'll still keep it. He's still pretty funny. And I saw somebody say this in the chat before, and I saw the social media team post something where they were like asking everyone, "Oh, what's your favorite vacation destination spot?" And he said somewhere with Ice Spice. I didn't even know who Ice Spice was until a couple of weeks ago, and some of my students told me. But it's kind of funny to say something like that. But Joe, why don't you answer that question yourself? Because you've been going on quite a bit of vacations in the past couple of years, and you're going on another one soon. Favorite vacation spot, Joe?
What you're asking about my favorite vacation spot?
Yeah, because they asked that to the Jets players recently.
In general, I would say like my favorite vacation so far has been Costa Rica. Like I loved Italy, but Costa Rica was fucking awesome. Like that's so I would say that's probably my number one. But funny, I have Michael Carter too, but I could see this changing to Quinn. But I think Carter, if I'm to walk into a bar with any one of the 53 Jets players, I think Michael Carter is the one who would amuse me the most in terms of being funny. So, who is your I think there's only two players you could really say with this one. Your
The
fastest.
thing about the difference between Michael Carter and Quinnen is you kind of would like laugh at Quinnen, like the whole bless you, thank you thing is like you're laughing at him, right? Like something he did was dumb or stupid versus Michael Carter, like he's gonna like crack a dumb joke that's like actually kind of funny. So it's
like outwardly like trying to be funny. Yeah. So your fastest, the most fastest Jet, which I think there's only really two answers for this one. I'm pretty sure I know it's going to be Hardman, right?
So I wrote Hardman. I also wrote Guidry too. I kind of wanted to go with Hardman more because you actually see his speed on the field more. So I felt more confident with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going Hardman with that one as well. I think the only other argument you can make is for Guidry.
I mean, I also thought about Izzy for a moment, but then I was like, nah.
So I said this in the Izzy review. Izzy has very good speed. He does not have elite speed. He's not Chris Johnson. He's not Mostert. I don't think he's one of those guys. I think he is very, very good speed. But yeah, it's Harbin for me. Your fastest per square inch, Kyle. I think there's really only one answer for this one as well. Maybe I'm wrong for you.
Just keep it the same. I don't see why you change it. They're sure. Yeah.
Per square, what else were you thinking? Why? What's with that?
I still wrote Hardman, but then I thought, oh well, he's talking about per square inch, even though I wrote the same per square inch. Yeah, back then. Listen, 370 pounds running 5'1" is pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Biggest hitter,
Quincy,
but I think you make an argument for Whitehead too. Again, kind of relative to his size, but Quincy.
I'll say Quincy. Whitehead missed too many tackles for me to put in there.
This is the one we struggled with. I think we kind of referenced this before. Who has the best hands on the team?
It's funny. I wrote definitely not Lazard.
Definitely not Lazard. Definitely not
Hardman
either. Definitely not Davis. You had Conklin who had some drops. You have Uzama. This one's hard because I don't think anybody in the Jets has necessarily like good hands.
I literally wrote Conklin, but I don't like saying that after last year. But I guess I had to go with him. Who did you go with?
I think Conklin's probably my number 2, or you can argue for number 1. I think it's Cobb. I think Cobb is pretty consistent with catching the ball. But I don't know.
Okay. I will not argue with you there, and I'll be interested to watch your review on him.
He has some easy drops, and that's his weakness. Is he does have some easy drops. You don't want to see any easy drops, but I can't ask every player to be Larry Fitzgerald, but it's something I noted. I just don't think the Jets have anybody who has like maybe Conklin, even though we saw some drops from last year, but over his career, he's had better than average hands. I think Garrett Wilson could be that, but Garrett Wilson's not like he had great hands last year either. So that's kind of a hard one. I don't think the Jets have anybody with really like good hands. Who's your slowest per square inch, Kyle?
Slowest per square inch? Jamie and Sherwood.
Okay, so there's only 3 you could talk about here. It's Sherwood, it's Hall, it's Lazard. Anything other than that, you're completely wrong. So
I'll go with Sherwood.
Yeah, I would accept any 3. If I had to choose
the thing is, you just haven't seen so much of Sherwood in recent years. But dude, go and throw that Auburn tape, and you're gonna be like, yeah, it's Sherwood.
Yeah. Stephen Engel says best pirouette. Zach, completely agree. This one's a kind of slowest on the team. I had Al Woods. I think he's probably running the slowest 40 on the Jets. I guess I don't know.
I put Cologne, man. Cologne.
Really?
He's slow, man.
He is slow. But the thing about Cologne is, like, you watch and you'll see the reviews I do. I like Cologne more than I like Schweitzer, and Schweitzer got a pretty much a guaranteed contract for this year, so they're definitely keeping him. But I like Cologne a little bit more. But we'll talk about that in the future. Your softest player.
You could probably just guess based on other things I said.
Carter Warren.
All right. There's a good chance I'll change what I said after I watch your review on him. I watched probably 4 or so games of Warren myself, and I definitely did think he's soft, but I wrote Kuntz though.
Okay. Yeah. Either are acceptable. I put Warren, but I completely get Kuntz as well. Hardest, Kyle.
I actually didn't write anything for that because I was just confused. Like, what do I mean by this? I know I wrote Carl Lawson last year, but can you just tell me what you wrote? This is the only thing I didn't
Clemens.
write anything for.
Clemens.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like Clemens.
Great
It's
answer.
Clemens.
Great answer.
It's Clemens. Who is your?
Clemens? I wrote him for something else, and I think you'll probably agree with me there.
You can have multiple. You can have multiple. Who is your
most
weird?
pressure to perform?
No. Weird. Who is your weirdest Jet? I mean, we had the same answer last year.
Mims. I'm
Mims?
still going with Mims. Who do you, Mosley?
Okay, I have Mosley. Yeah, Mosley's an odd dude. He's very weird.
No frills. I remember they did the one Jets drive thing last year, and hey, this is a redemption season, and he's working out in the basement with really old equipment and stuff.
When he walked out that first game with that Bane mask on, I'm like, I don't know about that, but.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, what's the obsession with that? I mean, I watched those movies. I saw The Dark Knight a couple times, and that one's Dark
What's
Knight
the
Returns.
obsession?
Like, why do people like Bane so much? I'm saying, why do people like Bane now?
I thought you were talking about Batman. I was like, dude,
no, those movies are really good. Those movies are really good.
I don't know. He's born in the darkness, molded by it.
I just didn't like the Joker was a badass character.
Definitely.
But I just didn't. Yeah. The Bane character, I didn't think like he was.
Well, I don't listen. At the end of the day, Kyle, I don't think Moses is going to come out with fully done clown costume. I think it's a lot easier to just wear the little masks. That's probably my part of it. But Bane was awesome. I don't know. Nonetheless, we're gonna keep moving on. Most pressure to perform.
Wasn't he saying like some really commie things too, Joe? And I don't know. I don't think you're a big fan of the commies. I don't know.
Commie thing? I don't. What was he saying?
I don't remember. It's so long since I've seen that movie.
Yeah. Okay. Most pressure, Kyle.
I didn't even know who played Bane. People are now saying Tom Hardy. I didn't even know that Tom Hardy played him. I don't know.
Shame on you. I've seen that movie 50 times. But okay, continue.
Okay.
Most pressure to perform.
Do we even need to answer this question? Let's just let the chat answer it. Let's see if it's all the same answer that we think it's going to be.
You can take a lot of avenue. Well, it's Aaron Rodgers, right?
I wrote Becton, and I saw that Jesse Londino said Becton as well.
I get Becton because of his health and weight stuff, but if Aaron Rodgers comes in here and sucks, he's going to be facing quite a bit of pressure. So I think Aaron Rodgers has more. Like if Becton were to get injured or like suck this year, it's kind of like, okay, that sucks, but it is what it is.
I can't really argue because listen, if the Jets trade all that capital and spend all that money on a 39-year-old quarterback who's a future Hall of Famer and he does suck, it's going to be bad. It's going to be
Rodgers has a lot of pressure.
He's going to be facing a lot of shit from the media.
We think he's going to be a top 5 to 10 guy. If he's not that, he's going to have a lot of pressure. I get Becton. I get a bunch of guys. And AVT, he's great, but if he has to do it over 17 games. Hall has pressure. Sauce has pressure, but I don't think there's anybody who's ever going to really be under more pressure than a quarterback, especially a Hall of Fame quarterback changing teams at 39 years old. So to me, it's easily Rodgers.
I'm going to rewatch that damn movie now because Art's now clowning me. The fact that you didn't know Hardy played Bane explains why you don't get it, Kyle. I'm going to rewatch that movie.
You don't get anything. You're just an idiot. It's fine. Who's the most overrated Jet?
Bro, you didn't even know who fucking Ayn Rand was a month or two ago.
I
don't know who that is. Someone brought up Ayn Rand and how Aaron Rodgers is apparently a fan of her, and you're like, I have no idea who that is.
I thought you were about Iran. I was like, I know what Iran is. Okay. Overrated. This is not a popular segment because we're gonna get we're too negative here regardless. But who are your most overrated Jets?
Well, I thought it was just one person. You're telling me
you can always have one and then have maybe a couple other ones that you thought about.
Okay. So overrated. I kind of struggled with this one, but I put Quincy Williams. I feel like because of the big hits, fans think he's much better than he actually is.
That's a good one.
Okay, so
that's a good one. I have a few. I would say maybe. I'm going to be unpopular here regardless. I have 4 listed, but I guess I'm going to have 1. Clemens. Like I liked a lot what Clemens did.
I thought about that one too I'm sure the same exact reason that you're about to say.
Yeah, like is he almost too elevated because of his persona? Like he beat up on tight ends last year. I get it. I like him, but I think people talk about him like he's some type of stud. I think he's a reserve, a good role player at this point, but I had Clemens. I had Mosley on here. I had Uzama on here. I think Art brings up, or Jordan Victor brings up a good one with Hardman and Lazard. I think they're both overrated by fans too. For the people saying, like, I've legitimately heard people or seen people say Lazard's or Hardman's gonna be number 2 in receiving, and he's a breakout weapon waiting to happen because
1,000 yards on the horizon.
Because Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes didn't capitalize on him. They're idiots. It's like so. Uzama, Lazard, yeah, I would say Clemens, Uzama, Mosley. I don't know. Say it to Clemens' face without your gun. No. Can I bring a sword? I don't know, but yeah, I would say Clemens. If I had to put down one, and I like him a lot, and it's not saying that that he's not a solid role player, but I think people are elevating him to be, he's a dominant on the inside. Whitehead was overrated by fans last year. They saw what we talked about prior to the year starting, and now he's not overrated. I don't think, but so not in here though. Yeah, there you go. So underrated, Kyle. Here's your most underrated Jets.
I think I forgot. I think I accidentally skipped this one when I was doing this. Okay. And I think I forgot to go back to it. I wrote Conklin. I think that was from last year, and I don't think I changed it. And I don't feel confident saying that now because he really disappointed me last year. I still feel like fans really don't like him, so he might still be a little underrated. But no other name is popping up in my mind right now.
Really?
Who did you write?
So I have Corey Davis, but I have other options. Or no, sorry, I didn't have Corey Davis. Or I have Corey Davis, but my number 1 is Conklin. I still think Conklin. I think he was underrated last year. Unfortunately, he had a few bad games to start, but now he's definitely underrated by fans. So Conklin's my 1.
I expect him to play better than what he did.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, aside from the fact that he's got better quarterback play, I don't expect him to have that amount of drops. I don't expect him to have that amount of fumbles.
He was top 10 in receiving yards from tight ends with Joe Flacco, Zach Wilson, and Mike White throwing the ball. He had 4 drops. I think somebody actually found it for me last week. He had 4 drops in 4 years with the Vikings. He had 4 drops in 4 games with the Jets. So it's just not. He was not playing to his norm last year. So Conklin is easily my 1 there. And I have 3 other names I think you could say. I would be okay with Corey Davis. I would be okay with Tony Adams. And I think somebody who's being severely overrated just because of his name. And I think people are saying, the New York Packers. I think Cobb as receiver 5 is also are underrated by fans. I don't think people realize what they're getting with Cobb as a receiver 5. So
speaking of Joe, did we skip the thing about quickest feet on the team?
I don't think I had that one. I think I deleted it.
Okay. Well, I wrote Cobb for that one.
Quickest feet?
Yeah. Like, some people in the chat might be thinking, Garrett Wilson, but he's
Cobb is not explosive. He's not explosive anymore, but Cobb is still very smooth in and out of his breaks. So I could see that. I could see that one. Okay. Moving on, overrated draft pick.
Yeah, overrated draft pick. I put Carter Warren.
I put Carter Warren. I hope my review does not meet your expectations with that one, Kyle. So overrated draft pick, I have Warren. Underrated draft pick, I have. Actually, I want to hear yours first because you've watched some
underrated draft pick.
Yeah, underrated draft pick.
I probably wouldn't have written this one on draft on the weekend of the draft, but after watching more, I put Will McDonald.
Okay.
I think a lot of people still think that was a severe reach at 15, considering that they could have took JSN and whomever else you liked at that spot. But so I think that people kind of overlooked him for that reason. And I certainly wasn't going to pick Carter Warren. Am I going to pick Izzy? Am I going to pick Kuntz? Am I going to pick Bernard Converse? I'm not going to pick any of those guys. Tittman, I feel like he was pretty good value.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Listen, Tittman, I like Tittman. I'm just being honest, based on the film that I watched, and it wasn't a lot from the other guy because I just couldn't get that much at the time, and then they didn't draft him. The center that the Giants drafted, I liked his tape better than Tittman's tape.
For an outside zone too, yeah.
Well, again, I only watched like 1 or 2 games of him, but from the 1 or 2 games I saw, I did like it better. So, I understand that Tittman does have the higher upside, especially considering the type of system the Jets want to run. But, Tittman, I like him, but he's going to need to grow on me a little bit. I want him to prove it to me a little bit more. So I want McDonald here.
No, it's completely acceptable. I understand that. Like I don't think Tittman's some slam dunk. I think he's going to be good. But he definitely has some areas to improve for sure. For underrated, I actually had Zari Barnes, or I think it's me correcting my
Zaire?
pronunciation. It's Zaire Barnes. Okay.
Mm.
But Izzy is probably being a little bit overrated by fans. Kuntz is being overrated. I haven't really seen anything on JBC. But I like Barnes just in terms of like the dude has elite athleticism. Like when he decides to break on a ball, like holy shit, he can move. So he's very, very raw, but he has a very high ceiling if he reaches even anywhere near it. So I have Barnes for him or for that. Breakout on offense, Kyle, I put.
All right, let me write this down because I don't have this. That way I have it for future time.
Okay, so breakout on offense, I have Conklin. You could put Wilson, but I think he's already kind of broken out, right?
Yeah.
Like you were already expecting a lot from him. So Conklin was my answer for the player who's going to really like break out to fans. Like, holy shit, that player is pretty good. Do you have any other ideas of who you might choose for that one? We have a few more left.
I'll put Ruckert.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think it's not necessarily like breakout to being a all-pro, but if Ruckert even has a role in the offense, that's breakout. If you had to choose breakout on defense, who would you choose?
Breakout on defense. I'm gonna go with.
It's kind of this one's hard, right?
I could go with JJ, but I feel more confident saying McDonald's going to be a better pro overall. I'm going to go with William McDonald.
But can you break out your first year? Is that a possibility?
Why not? I mean, I guess, but he is a first round pick, so like the expectations are pretty high.
Yeah,
but if I said JJ here though, it wouldn't be a problem though, right? Because he didn't.
This one's really hard because like I feel like everybody is kind of already not like maxed out, but they're already viewed in such a high light.
Like I think the most common answer here would be JJ because listen, a lot of people were disappointed with his performance last year.
I have one.
Like they were expecting more.
I have one, Kyle. I have one. Tony Adams. Breakout on defense.
Okay. And we were just talking. I think we were talking about this pre-stream, if I'm not mistaken, Joe.
Yeah.
Or is it the very, very top of the stream that it does with every day, it does seem increasingly likely that Tony Adams will be playing major amounts of reps this year.
Yeah.
In a free safety role.
Who is your favorite current Jet, Kyle?
This one I don't have either, but favorite current Jet. I'm gonna go with Sauce Gardner.
I'm gonna go with Sauce too, but I can't act like it. Really, it's Q, Sauce, and Wilson, right? Like it's the three best players.
Zach.
Zach. I don't know. They're all dominant. Like I loved Q coming out. I also love Sauce coming out, and I love what Garrett Wilson is. But I think it's really between Q and Sauce. And I guess I would say Sauce. Like I got the chain, I got the jersey, I freaked out, all that stuff. Maybe it's because Q's been here for a few years. Maybe Sauce wears out after a couple of years. But I guess I'll go with Sauce too. But I think Q and Wilson are I
just think there's a lot to like about Sauce, man. Like number one, he made me look smart because I really liked him. I said that they should be picking him at 4 for months, and then they did pick him at 4, and then he had a great rookie year. I think he's a good kid, right? Like he says he doesn't even drink. Not saying you're bad if you drink or whatever, but like, clearly he's got his mind on right. He wants to be, good. Like he's still kind of like really a kid at heart. Like, he's doing these live streams and stuff.
Yeah.
The whole Jessica Alba thing, going to the game. Like, it's like, it's like Aaron Rodgers' little buddy. Like he's mentoring him and stuff. Like it's just, he's just fun to have on the team and stuff. Haven't seen any drama from him, so
yeah.
And he's fun to watch too. Like it's pretty funny when like he's jawing at a player and getting in their head, and but then his play also backs it up. So I like him.
Did you watch his documentary thing too? Which I actually like.
No.
So he's like a documentary, like a self-made documentary of like him going back to Detroit and stuff like that, which actually makes you respect him more.
I did not know that. Where is this? Is it on YouTube or something?
I'm sure if you YouTube Sauce Gardner documentary, it's going to come up, But yeah, so you have to have a lot of respect for him. I like this one from Trey Gant. Worst game you've been to?
Worst game you've been to? Well, Joe, you've been to more, so I'm sure you have a quite a long list.
I have a long list, but with that being said, going to a game that's home and losing sucks. traveling thousands of miles to go to a game and watching them lose sucks even worse. So I think the far and away number one answer is the Bills game. Going to the Bills game in 2015
2012.
and watching them lose. No, 2015.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
2015. The Bills game that they lost in Buffalo was the worst game I've been to. The other game I would say would be going all the way to Arizona to watch them lose. You have Jets Vikings 2018. That game we had to get escorted out of our gate because Tom was going to get jumped by like 15 Vikings fans versus 3. Not the most ideal game I've been to. But yeah, going to away games and watching them lose is terrible. Jets,
Which
Browns,
is just awful. I mean, you think about it, like, dude, you're in a Jet Stadium. How are you getting outnumbered by Vikings fans?
Bro, it all started over him telling a guy he had a Canadian tuxedo on, and the guy lost it. It was like jumping rose, like over a Canadian tuxedo comment. But it was like an older guy, and he was with a bunch of like younger dudes. It literally was like 14 dudes versus me, Tom, and his dad. And I was like, dude, we can't fucking do this. Like, I can't. I'm gonna lose my job. Like, we cannot do this. So security came, like, they are waiting for you outside the gate. So they walked us like 3 sections down and then walked us out of the stadium because we're gonna get our ass beat. So it was not ideal. But yeah, I would say Buffalo for that one easily.
All right, I'm trying to think for me, and nothing's really popping up. I mean, I've been to some really horrible games, but I mean, one that's popping out is I did go to Buffalo, so obviously it's a long trip. The fact that I even went to this game was stupid because the Bills were 5-11 at the time.
Yeah.
Right. And the Jets were like 6-9 or something. Oh, no, the Bills were 5-10.
5-10.
And the Jets were 6-9 at the time. This is the 2012 season. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the Bills starting quarterback. Rex Ryan's the Jets head coach. Mark Sanchez is the Jets starting quarterback, and it was a complete blowout. The Bills romped the Jets. Tim Tebow's backup quarterback for the Jets. Bills fans are trolling us all game. It snowed shortly before then. So, I mean, just the fact that, I even traveled that far to see such an atrocious performance in a meaningless season, and then you get blown out by a bad team after you whoop their ass week 1. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, we have Nani in here who says Jets Browns 2019. Yeah, trust me, the butt fumble game I was there. I've been to so many blowouts. It's just kind of expected that, and actually, again, going makes it that much worse. Like Carolina sucked, Arizona sucked, Buffalo sucked. Like, I've been to so many stadiums where we lost. Favorite is definitely Green Bay though so far. I would say Green Bay, Indy, that Monday night win, and then Jets Pats 2009 was ridiculous. That was fucking awesome. So, moving on from that, Kyle, favorite Jet, some of our other memories from games. Who's your least favorite Jet?
Least favorite Jet. Damn, I gotta write this one down too. Least favorite. Go with yours.
Go first?
Yeah, yes.
So I have 3. My first one I listed was Jordan Whitehead, just because I don't like the way he plays. But even worse than him, I would probably say there's 2 offensive linemen, Kyle. One being Laken Tomlinson for the way he robbed the Jets. And 3, I have Becton because
Joe, your answer is Becton. I'm telling you, that is your answer.
Okay, so my least favorite
talk about him, the tone of your voice every time you bring him up. Your answer is Becton.
It's Becton.
I still have some faith in that guy just because of his talent. So I almost don't want because
it's not about what they are. It's about who they are.
I know their personality and stuff, like who you want to root for. Like, he makes it hard to root for him. Go to some stuff in the chat while I'm scrolling through the Jets roster. See if
what has been your favorite moment of the offseason? Landing Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't see how it could be anything other than that. Unless you just like hate the guy for a variety and you just think he's going to be an absolute bust for this team. But
we're not talking about all time here, people. There are some answers. Like, I would say bless Austin for the way I got criticized about hating him and then him actually sucking. Yeah, Tremaine Johnson's a good one. We're talking about current Jet. Current Jet, it's Becton for me. Definitely signing Tristan Colon.
I almost want to pick the same thing just because I'm kind of thinking about going Denzel Mims just because how stupid he made us look and how much he's been.
That's one too, man. But just like his attitude and stuff, and like now, I don't know if there's anything going on off the field, but like he's not showing up to camp and stuff.
Really? Oh, that's just stupid for a guy who's like worried about his football career in the future.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'll go with I'll go with Mims. And I listen, if I pick Becton, it wouldn't be a shock either.
Yeah, yeah. Mims is a good one though because like just his attitude, like, oh my god, I had food poisoning and they brought in other receivers. Now I'm mad. It's like, okay, it's the NFL, bud. Like let's grow up here. So yeah, Mims. Like I completely understand Mims, but I think he's a little bit soft mentally. It is what it is. The Jets seem to agree, but with that being said,
Yeah, Joe, if Elijah Moore was still on the team, would you pick him?
no, it's Becton.
Yeah,
So
Joe would like Elijah Moore's film way too much.
yeah. So Kyle, I put this question back in here, which we're not going to spend too long on it. We only have like 3 or 4 more to do. Who are the 3 Jets you take to survive on a deserted island with? You're in a plane with one. Obviously you're not going on the plane if you plan on crashing, but I don't know what the situation is. 3 Jets. Actually, you're on a plane with all the other Jets. For some reason, said jet goes down. All the other guys disappear. You open the door. You're hoping for 3 Jets. Who are those Jets?
Okay. So I think that we're definitely going to have one of them that's going to be the same. And this is something we've talked about previously. I don't see why we would change this. McGovern for his hunting ability. That's got to be one of them, right? Yeah. You're on the same page there?
Yeah.
Okay. I do have Clemens. He's one of them just because he's listen, this is what I wrote for Clemens. I wrote he's a soldier. Remember when Kellen Winslow, I think he was still with the Browns at the time. He was like, I'm a fucking soldier. They interviewed him in the locker room post game. And like Clemens actually like is a soldier. Like I feel like he's one of these guys who just, will take orders, do what you need him to do, sacrifice his own body if he has to get the job done. So Clemens is a legitimate badass. I don't think he'd be scared of anything. So I put him there.
He's the guy you want to fight a bear. Like if you had a bear and you had somebody.
I don't want anybody fighting bears, but I guess if I really had to. But
to bite out the bear's jugular, you need Clemens. So I also have Clemens. I also have McGovern because he's the only Jet I know of that hunts. There could be another one. I know Wes Schweitzer climbs rocks. I know Al Woods herds cattle or whatever that is. But I need a hunter, and I know McGovern has done it. So McGovern, I'm with you on Clemens to fight a bear.
Who's your third? You want me to go
third?
first?
No, I'll do my third. So if it could be a player who's just on the staff in general, I have Saleh, just because I feel like he would talk me through it. But if you can't do Saleh, I would. If it wasn't Saleh, okay, so it's not Saleh. I have DJ Reed. He's smaller. You don't have to feed him a lot. But he's also like very motivational and positive. So I feel like Reed would be a good guy to be on an island with. Because the thing is, like, you could say, oh yeah, I want to bring in Al Woods. You got to feed Al Woods like a motherfucker to keep that guy going. So you got to think about that shit too. So I'm going.
And eventually it'll come to a point where he's going to think about eating you. Okay.
Yeah. Say Daniel Murphy. Think about using all those big guys. They require more food. So, but you need somebody to also fight a bear. So Clemens has to be in there. I can understand it from McGovern, but he's the only guy who I know hunts. So you kind of have to have him. And then Reed because of the small stature, but positive motivation.
So Joe, you're saying that you need motivation to help you. You're gonna be.
I'm not saying I need it, but if I'm starving on a desert island, I want a guy who's going to be slightly positive. That's for sure.
Okay, well, listen, positivity is certainly a good thing in that situation, but I want more than positivity. I can find my own positivity. I want to have a guy who's got some life experience. I put Aaron Rodgers down. Right? You
don't think Aaron Rodgers is wandering into the woods trying to find some ayahuasca? Is he gonna get too high on mushrooms and fucking try to swim out and drown
but
himself?
Joe, I mean, I don't do drugs like that. But Joe, maybe in a shitty situation, maybe that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, though. I can
just imagine Aaron Rodgers laying out there, like, bro, it's my time, man. Like, it is what it is. So you're just meant to die now. Like, I'm not with that. I think he'll just accept his fate and just die. Or like try to find some mushrooms and shit. Then he's trying to find some magic mushrooms and he finds poisonous mushrooms and he gives them to you. Then you and Aaron Rodgers are dead. He's like the last person I would want, to be honest.
Listen, I want someone with life experience, and Rodgers just seems like he's one of these guys that he seems like he's one of these guys who's like pretty good at golf. He just seems like he's one of these guys who's talented and can figure things out. And listen, if it comes to like, I need someone to build a raft for me or put something together, want to go with the guy who's got like a lot of life experience, who just seems like they're talented in many different areas. And
It's been a good
Rodgers,
39 years, man. It's been a good 39 years. I just can't. I don't know. It seems like Kyle wants to dabble in some mind altering material. Huh? Hey, if that's how you want to go out,
hey, Joe's more about that life than me. Just
Kyle.
to be honest.
Oh yeah, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I'm allowed to do other things now, which is kind of nice.
Which
I'm not gonna get into it.
choose to cheat off of in a math test. I definitely would need to cheat off someone in a math test because I suck at math.
I think who's the smartest Jet? You think that's kind of a. I feel
Do we have any Ivy Leaguers on the team? Wasn't your boy Van Roten an Ivy Leaguer?
No, I think you're talking about. Well, no, I have no idea. Maybe
I think
LDT would be an answer, but he's not on the team.
Huh?
Who is really maybe like Solomon Thomas strikes me as like a really smart.
Yeah, he is smart.
Really smart guy. Oh, Bryce Hall is another good one. He apparently he was a really good student. Yeah, Bryce Hall. I would who the hell did I just say again? I forget who I just said. Who's the I don't want to say. I feel like we're getting to a bad territory. The last guy.
Put it this way: there are plenty that I would not want to cheat off of.
Kyle is more straight edge than Joe, who is a cop. Solomon Thomas. So Solomon Thomas at Stanford. Who's the last Jet you'd want to cheat off on a math test?
Yeah, but didn't we just say we didn't want to answer this question?
No, it's okay. We're not getting into anything.
Okay, who would I not want to cheat off of? I got to be honest. I would not want to cheat off Becton. Becton is not straight.
Mims. The guy. Yeah, that's the answer. That's the answer. Jesse.
I'm gonna tell you this too. Zach Wilson. I would not want to cheat off him.
Really? You don't think he's smart? No.
Do you think Zach Wilson's smart?
I think he might be like book smart.
I don't think so. I mean, like, well, first of all, I have ADHD. He claims to have ADHD and stuff, but he says like he has a real tough time focusing on things he's not interested in. Football, he said, but dude, Zach Wilson's football smart's not there, but he doesn't strike me as like a book smart person who hits the books hard. We didn't hear about him getting good grades or whatever.
The only answer is Mims. It's Mims. It has to be. He's like, oh well, they brought another student.
I think Becton's a strong contender too. Just look at some of his tweets, man. Come on. Doesn't strike me as the most intelligent man out there.
Yeah, I would say Mims. I would say Becton, but I just Mims is not going to pay attention in class. Like he's a powder to me. But nonetheless, okay. So you getting your third answer? Oh, you said Aaron Rodgers, which wasn't right. Okay, so your favorite.
So hold on. So you're giving me shit over Aaron, but you want a motivational speaker? Yeah, because a motivational speaker is going to help me on a fucking island.
And the other important thing was. He doesn't have to eat a lot. It's important. So
you want people that can fight bears, give you motivational speeches, and are lower in the calorie department.
I think those are three reasonable things. I don't know.
I want a guy who can build me shit and stuff. Like, listen, I haven't watched that show Survivor since I was like a really young.
Has Aaron Rodgers really ever built anything for himself?
Well, he doesn't need to.
He's from California, bro. There's no way he's building shit.
Okay, and you don't think he's ever surfed a lot out in California? What if I need someone who can?
Oh, this is another answer, by the way. Quincy Williams for the last one. Do you want to cheat off a math test? I don't know. He just I don't know. He just
doesn't seem like Quincy for the island question.
Yeah. No, I transitioned that into the last one on cheat off a math test. But yeah, I don't think
Rivka said that we should cheat off of Michael and her.
For what?
Well, I mean, because they're stat people.
Oh, the stat guys. Yeah, there's something about something like I wonder. Only if I had Rivka or Nani here, just tell me the number.
Joe,
I wouldn't cheat.
What's your best subject in school?
Best?
Yeah,
I would say math or science probably when I was in school.
Okay.
But probably math. Probably realistically math. And he's a math teacher or Rivka was a math teacher for 6 years. But okay, so we have two more before some of the finishing. Okay, so favorite offseason move, Kyle.
I don't see how it couldn't be
not
other than acquiring Aaron Rodgers.
Bypass Rodgers because that's the obvious one.
Well, that's what I wrote. Favorite one outside of that. Damn.
This is Kyle's favorite subject, by the way, history for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't. Now it is. It's. I kind of became a history teacher by accident, but that's a different story for another day.
Yeah,
Damn. Joe. I mean, Joe, how are you expecting me to answer this question? You said you never told me besides Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. I don't know, Kyle. Considering you cover the Jets every single day and you know every single
I gotta
thing
be honest though.
they've done
There's not a lot that I really like. Like, am I supposed to be happy about Lazard? Am I supposed to be happy about Hardman? How about this? Being able to restructure some of these contracts and like save money, right? Like getting like Mosley and Lawson and some of these other guys to restructure their contracts.
It's
I
a
mean,
good
say
answer.
that?
Trey says trading more.
I don't think we got good value for that. We could have got more for that, I think. So
yeah, they didn't do great with that one, in my opinion. I'm with Rivka though. My favorite offseason move was Chuck Clark. It has to be Chuck Clark, right? Like we can't just buy
that was a good move, but unfortunately he got hurt.
Yeah, that's the best move minus Rodgers. What was your least favorite move of the offseason?
Least favorite move of the offseason.
I gotta run through the last ones relatively quickly. So lightning round, Kyle.
Pass. I don't want to hold you up on the lightning round. I'm gonna get criticized for that.
All right, I know now you're very aware.
Yo, did you see Michael's dude? This comment, Michael, great comment.
Since Joe stole that kid's Flareon, it might. I don't know if I can go back and check. It might have been an Alakazam. I don't know, because I feel like Flareon was kind of easy to attain. So you might be right. My least favorite move,
Alakazam. The only way you could get him was through the trade. That's why I got ripped off.
Yeah, maybe that was it. My least favorite move so far is not adding another safety and/or linebacker, and I would say second is backup quarterback. Like those two moves to me need to happen still,
and hopefully they do.
But
you know what? Hey, listen, Michael might not like to hear that because didn't he have Boyle on his podcast recently?
Yeah. They just posted that today. Which, by the way, go listen to that. They posted a review a interview with Boyle. Rivka says least favorite move.
Rivka. Very good point.
Lakin and even like Whitehead. Like, why not just cut Whitehead? Like, I know that he restructured and he's only going to be making, over the lifetime of the contract, like $8 million instead of $10 million, whatever it was this year. So it's like a $2 million cut, but still, just get rid of him in general. And then Lakeland, I completely agree with that one. So, but I would say no backup quarterback so far, and then a little bit of what they've done with linebacker and safety. Bring back Quan, bring in John Johnson. Okay, so last couple ones here, Kyle. This is more about record. The Jets will finish the regular season with a record of.
Wish I knew you were going to ask this one too, so I could have really went through the schedule. I will say they will finish 10-7. 10-7.
Is that good enough to get it in?
To get in the playoffs, I believe so.
Yeah.
Could be 11-6. Could be.
I went 11-6. I went 11-6. Okay, you factor in, let's say, two losses in the division, right? Let's just assume 2 losses in the division to be conservative. Let's just give them the Chiefs. Let's give them the Eagles. Let's give them one of the first 2 weeks. Or no, we're kind of already having to split the division, so we have to find 2 more. A random loss against like the Browns.
I think we're going to sweep the Pats twice, or sweep the Pats and win both games.
Yes.
They better.
Yes.
Splitting with the Pats this year is unacceptable.
You cannot split with the Pats. So yeah, I'm gonna say they're what 6 losses. We got Chiefs, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Browns, and Chargers. Like 2 more random ones. So I'm gonna say 11-6. Kyle, you're saying 10-7, or you can change it to 11-6. 10-7.
I'm gonna be positive. I'm going 11-6.
11-7. Okay, 11-6, which would place the Jets AFC East finish. Is that first? Is that second? Art, don't do this to us, buddy. I met you in real life. I like you. Don't do this shit. We're not losing to the Pats.
Art was a lot of fun to talk to.
Yeah, the problem is Art met us at the exact wrong time. Like depressing loss, raining, miserable.
Especially you. Yeah, I get miserable after Jets losses, but not like Blewett, man. Just keep your distance.
Alcohol helps. So,
what was it? What did you just ask me?
Where are they going to finish in the AFC East?
I'm gonna say they finish second. I'll still give the Bills the division, but I do want to say the Jets can take it, though. The Jets can definitely take the division. I would not be shocked. But listen, have they done enough to unseat the 3-time consecutive division champs? But the Bills are going through it right now. So listen, I won't be shocked at all. I'll go with second.
I have them 11-6. but with first place finish. I think the Bills are also going to finish 11-6. I think the
And the
Dolphins are going
Jets,
to finish
won the tiebreaker. Okay.
10-7. I think the Pats are probably like 7 or 8 wins, but I'm going to take the Jets 11-6 and first in the division. If they add in Hopkins with that, I'll be much more strong in thinking that. But yeah, so AFC playoff seed, Kyle, with 11-6, and well, you're automatically going to say what, fifth, right?
Yeah.
Fifth or sixth?
Fifth.
Okay, I'm going to say third. I'm going to say third with a AFC.
By the way, I really miss the old playoff format, man. I liked rewarding the top 2 teams. They both get buys.
Yeah.
And again, I guess there is something cool about the extra playoff games and the whole. Oh, only number 1 gets it, but I don't know. I guess I'm an old man. I like the old format. Continue.
We won 7 games with 33rd level. Zach Wilson did not play the 33rd best quarterback. He played like the 70th best quarterback last year. There's a lot of backups who are better than him. I'm sorry. Like if you told me right now, live or die, I'm taking Teddy Bridgewater over him. I'm taking maybe Minshew over him. I'm taking a couple.
The Jets won. The Jets won a lot of close games, and some of their losses were bad. Like that Ravens loss was bad. The Seahawks loss was bad. The Bengals loss was bad. I know one of the Pats losses were super close, but offensively that game was atrocious.
3-10 or 3-9 actually.
There's another really bad loss in there somewhere, which I'm forgetting at the moment. The Jaguars loss was really bad. So
Dolphins. Okay, so
Dolphins game was close. That went right down to the wire, but again with Skylar Thompson though.
2 more questions here, Kyle. Pro Bowl players. Who makes the Pro Bowl for the Jets this year?
Quinnen, Sauce, not CJ Mosley, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Let's see. Do I think any of the linemen will make it? No. Breece Hall.
Yeah, Hall. I forgot about.
I don't think DJ Reed makes it. Do I think anyone else on the D line makes it? No. I think that's it.
Yeah. So I put at the end one of Reed or Mosley, but I think Reed should make it. He just doesn't. I think Mosley, he could.
Oh, what about AVT? Rivka says AVT.
So I put Q, Sauce, AVT, Rodgers, Hall, Wilson. So I think they get 6 Pro Bowlers this year.
AVT is definitely a very strong candidate.
All pro players, Kyle? I put Q and Sauce.
Yeah, I think that's
okay.
I think Rodgers will probably get an all pro too, even if it's second team.
Jesse has Quinnen, Sauce, Garrett, Rodgers, Mosley. I don't think he should be, but wasn't he an all pro? Yeah, I think that's a name thing. So we pushed 40 minutes past our normal time, or at least our normal time, as of late. Kyle, any last words?
I think I should just stop talking since I don't know what a lightning round is.
Perfect. There you go. So I have plenty of reviews that have come out. I have plenty more to come out. So make sure to check those reviews out if you actually want to know your players and your team better. So I'd appreciate that. Like, comment, subscribe. Go to the podcast app. Even if you don't listen on there, throw a 5-star and a review. That'd be greatly appreciated. And obviously, we have the podcast on those podcasting apps. So if you're going to if you're trying to listen like that, you obviously can now. So we appreciate you guys, and we will see you. I'm saving this segment for when I'm nagging you for your season predictions and you're not saying them to me, Joe. Oh, oops. But was I late last year? I'm sorry, Rivka. I appreciate you, Rivka. I appreciate everybody else.